Now, hello everybody. Hi. I'm here to talk about games. Here to talk about games. Um, I'm John. I'm the host, as usual, in charge of the website, the podcast, etc., etc. With me this week is a conglomerate of geniuses to talk about games and the like. Um, I am joined by one Lily. Lily, you're here. Hello.
Hello, happy spooky month, everyone.
Hello, happy October, everybody. Lily, what kind of stuff are you getting up to in the October season?
Well, my goal is to find a way to economically consume as much peanut butter as physically possible.
That sounds like a great idea. I would have to say. What do you
What's
do? You just want to like eat straight peanut butter? Are you trying to like get you trying to get imbibe in it in combined with things, or just what's the plan?
just we need as many like peanut butter confections for the October season as possible. I'm talking, various Reese's products, things with higher quality peanut butter. Those are always the good quality chocolates, but
Mhm.
naturally, that naturally falls after the Halloween season, but I can pretend and I can do it throughout the course of the month.
Of course, sounds good. You're on peanut butter time. No jelly, it's just peanut. I am also joined by Nikolas. Nikolas, how are you today? What do you have any October plans?
I have accidentally gotten myself into like three different October activities that are like require me to commit to the entire month. Like I started an art trade that wasn't October themed in September. That's going to leak over into this month. I got put into one during this month where we draw like each other's weird dreams.
Ooh,
One of my friends, like invited me to do a murder mystery thing throughout the month, which seems fun. And then this is also the part of the college semester where classes start picking up, so this is going to be well, quite the quite the month.
fearful month indeed.
So having a lot of obligate, but at least it's spooky.
Mhm.
So I'll probably find an excuse to eat a lot of candy during it, and hopefully it will taste good and yummy.
Yeah, because why not?
That's what that's what Halloween's all about.
It is.
Eating way too much, eating way too much candy.
And Rose, you are here with us this week.
Hi.
Do you have any October plans?
Um, no, I'm probably just gonna play some random miscellaneous horror games, watch some horror movies. I feel like I got all my plans out. I just had like a giant bunch of people over for a couple weeks doing things, and I was like, I'm good. I'm good now. I'm good now.
All right.
I got all my energy, and that's where all the candy went too. Those people,
Mm.
they love candy.
You,
It's
you you got your
terrifying.
you got your social battery drained a bit. Like,
Oh yeah, I'm good though. It's
good to hear.
now
Good
it's
to hear.
gaming time.
Gaming time. The sure is.
It sure
Um,
fucking is.
Time for gaming.
time for gaming.
Video games, yay!
Um, I'm not planning anything specific, really. I might play some more Resident Evil games because my roommates like to watch Resident Evil around this time. I guess the game specifically. Um, so that might be what I end up doing. But otherwise, I'm not too in like I'm not like thinking about anything specifically. I'm just I'm existing. I'm doing this. Well, okay, I'm gonna do this week, and then I'm actually gonna be missing. That's something I gotta say. I'm gonna be missing the next 2 weeks of podcast because next weekend I am visiting my parents, and the weekend after that I am going to a card game like a new set release thing. And I wanted to go to that, so I'm sorry everybody. I'm shirking my duties.
John is stepping down as CEO of gaming.
That's not true. I would that
As far as you know, you might be voted out.
Okay, yeah, I guess we
We're
have to.
gonna have a
There's
shareholders meeting of gaming.
We're not making any money. I mean, we're making what,
Yeah,
70
with
something.
you gallivanting about
Yeah, no,
for
that's
multiple
true.
weeks, that's why.
Yeah,
I can
that's
have
my bad.
shares without making money.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll do that then. I understand. So it has been a gamer's bounty for sure. A lot of stuff came out all at once. We've all been kind of, playing it, enjoying some of it, etc., etc. Um, I think we're gonna have to like just dive in and really start to tackle some of this stuff, because if we don't, we're gonna be here all day. So let's see here. Rose, you have the most games on here, I would say.
Yeah.
Do you wanna tell us some stuff about one of these particular titles?
Sure. I've been doing so I didn't play a lot of games for a hot minute because I was busy. So then I was like, all right, now I have to get caught up. Um, and boy, there's too many of them. So I'm just jumping between one every so often. Um, so what? I'm still working my way through Silksong, um, which is good. I've really been enjoying Silksong. The more I get into it and the more I play it.
Mhm.
I think that it is really scary. I think like you get to the start of Act 2 of that game. It's a 3-act game, and you start to think like, oh, all right, I get the gist. Like probably getting there, and then there's like 12 more areas that you can keep finding behind hidden walls and all this other stuff, and it's crazy. I think Silksong is really good. I think it's much. I watched my girlfriend play Hollow Knight recently, and
Mm.
I really like Hollow Knight still, but it was also sort of like it's like when you watch Dark Souls 1 after watching someone play Dark Souls 3 a lot, or like Elden Ring or something, and you're like, oh my gosh, everything used to be slow. Everything used to be so slow and like way more simplistic. And now we're in like the world where every sword attack does like a laser beam in Dark Souls or whatever.
Sure.
Um, and it's the same thing in Silksong, where it's like Silksong, it's like, yeah, you're pogoing off of things, but you're not doing air dash bounce attacks on every enemy all the time, and like parries and all that other crazy stuff in Silksong. And the environments are a lot more simplistic in Hollow Knight too, because obviously it's a hand-drawn game, right? Though both of them, and it's like you can tell that that was their first project the first time, and this is much more their like, oh yeah, we took some time and we really learned a lot.
Mhm.
It's really good. If anyone out there for some reason hasn't played it and likes Metroidvanias, I think it's a really good one. Especially with, I know some people I know have been using mods to lower the difficulty a little, so that's out there if that's something if you just want to care about the exploration angle more.
Yeah, some of the stuff that I've been seeing is like a little more reasonable complaints, because like I'm of the two minds where it's like, yeah, I understand. I think, people should be able to make games how they want, and if it's just a hard game, it's a hard game. But also where it's like, man, some of these attacks are just taking off 2 pips of health for some reason, and it's like, at, why make them do to like why do you have this much health if you're going to be taking away like bigger chunks
Yeah,
of it? It's like, just make the health
I
bar smaller. Then I don't know. That's just weird.
I think my biggest issue is that this is a problem Hollow Knight had also that I think
Mhm.
is a really weird one is they take forever to give you health upgrades in Silksong the same
Mhm.
way Hollow Knight did. Where like Hollow Knight had this weird thing of like I'd say like the first 2/3 of that game you get like 2 or maybe even 3 health upgrades out of like 7,
Mhm.
and then like you just get 4 at the end. And then Silksong's like even worse, where it's like you can get like 1 or 2 like for the first like half of the game, and everything's doing double damage compared to Hollow Knight. So it's just like, ooh. And I kind of get it because you heal a lot more in Silksong comparatively. Like in Hollow Knight 1, when you heal, you're stuck on the ground and you only heal 1. But then in Silksong, you could do it midair and you get 3,
Yeah.
which is like, so they kind of want you to be like, oh, finding hid spots to like chill a little bit in the middle of a fight, which works well. Like I think if there's one thing Silksong does really, really good that I don't think there's any problem with, it's the boss design is really good. Even
Mhm.
if it's hard at times, like you it's patterns that you can figure out and learn, like a Castlevania boss or something like that, you know. Whereas the original Hollow Knight was, again, their first hand drawn project. So you have a lot of cases where they all have a lot of moves and you don't exactly know what the tell is going to be because it looks very similar to another one.
Sure.
Um, but the refinement here makes it a lot more obvious, so it becomes a lot more fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cool. I think you would still have problems with it because of the map issue, right? That was your big thing. I remember with the
Yeah,
original
I
Hollow
didn't.
Knight, and that's
I,
still here.
I might at the very least give original Hollow Knight just another shot one of these days. Because I mean, like, I have it on Switch. I'll, no cares, and I actually have access to a copy of Silksong because we
Yeah, you got it.
yeah, I kind of own it because I mean, not kind of, I do own it because we got your copy through the Humble, and there was the point where they were just like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna send everybody like like a DRM free copy so they can play it now. And then it was just like, well, yeah, like Rose wasn't in like a super big rush to play it, so we got Rose the code eventually, and then it was just like, well, I could just download this copy if I wanted, and I did, so I have a copy of Silksong sitting on my PC, and I don't know if I'll ever play it, but I
It's
have it.
only a gig, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Um It's just very funny. I was just like, oh, I'm using like, because you can use like a torrent file, so it's really funny to just be like, well, I'm technically torrenting Silksong right now. it's
They
it's very bizarre.
they would probably support you doing that based on the way they talk all the time.
Yeah,
I feel like
sure. I mean, I'll probably give it a shot. At least, like, why not? But
it's cool. It's a fun little game. I like I said the other day, I really like. There's just little tiny things about it that are just always like you feel the soul in it. Like there's an area that's like a doctor's office you're going through, kind of,
mhm.
and there's just they have the fucking like desk chairs with wheels on them, and every time you hit them, they just get knocked back a little and
That's
like
cute.
slide across the room, and it's just like little things like that that don't even matter, that don't interface with like actually the core mechanics of what you're doing. Just fun little
Yeah.
flavor things. I really like them.
Hmm. Okay. Do you want to hit another one? Because again, you have quite a few things on here. I just want to top
Sure.
it up a little bit.
I also started a bit of Hades 2, which came out for another indie game
Hmm.
banger thing. And Hades 2 is pretty good if you like Hades 1. Um,
What are the big standouts in comparison, because I've been seeing people being, just I've been seeing
back
some
and
talk.
forth.
I've been seeing some talk about Hades too, but it definitely hasn't like blown up as much as the original. But also like the conversation about games these days and social media is always just so like muted. I feel comparatively like
Yeah.
so
And with this one also, I feel like a lot of the discussion happened a year ago when
that's also
it
true.
first launched. So it's like you have that double whammy, right? Of just
Also, didn't Hades 1 launch at like the height of lockdown where everyone was talking too much about everything?
yes, absolutely. And it also was a good roguelike in a sea of let's say less good roguelikes.
Mhm.
I always talk up Hades because I think that it was one of those games that was like I was like, oh right, like I don't even think this Hades story is like amazing or anything, but it's one of those things that you go, oh, people who are working on roguelikes could try. They really could try to integrate a story into their you know gameplay loop, and it could work well. Uh, yeah, Hades 2. I think the big difference between it and Hades 1 is it is a much more ranged driven game. Like it is a lot more of you using like magic wands and spells and throwing knives and stuff like that because you're playing as a witch.
Mhm.
You're Zagreus' sister who's a witch or whatever. And I think that they like did a good job of capturing all the flavor of that. Like in the first game, you did things to add furniture to the like hell office, right?
Mhm.
In Hades 1, and that was sort of your like meta progression unlock system. And then here it's like, oh, you're doing magic spells or you're making potions for people and all this other stuff. That's cool. There's this weird angle of like, I feel like they've sort of made, I think people keep saying this and I think it's true. They've sort of made Hades 2 and 3 at the same time, because it's like you have the loop going down into hell,
Hmm.
but you also have a loop of going up on the surface towards Olympus.
Oh wow.
So you have like literally twice the amount of things to do as in Hades 1. And it's really weird because I think they've also created an interesting way of like you doing runs sometimes, not just to like win, but also to like get materials to accomplish like either side quests or like making new weapons or upgrading things and stuff like that, which the first game didn't have a lot of. I think the first game had a real focus on just using, the buffs you got, and then like you're just sort of upgrading your character. But here it's like you have passives, you have all these other things that you're getting, crafting materials. You build like pickaxes and shovels and fishing rods, and you bring animals with you into the runs with you to do random things. It's like,
That's cool.
it's a much more complicated game. It's cool. I think like, just like Silksong is a sequel to Hollow Knight and expands upon all the core things of Hollow Knight without changing things too much, Hades 2 is like that, but I think it changes a bit more,
Mhm.
obviously. It's cool. I really like direct sequels, honestly. I feel like we've come a really far away from that. Like, I think the hot thing in like the late 2000s, 2010s was like, make a sequel that's completely different or more accessible, in quotation marks. Like Mass Effect 2, right, removes like all the open world exploration stuff from Mass Effect 1, or the weird planet stuff and things like that, or
I,
Dragon
I
Age
was
2, same
I
way.
was gonna say that like that open world exploration stuff was kind of bad, but also like yeah, maybe they could have just made it good instead of just removing it
Yeah,
completely. Yeah.
it was bad. I want to make that clear. I agree. I'm in agreement with you. It was bad, but it was like the thing of like, hey, this goes from a planet hopping journey to kind of like linear hallway, which is
Hmm.
fine. To be clear, it's fine. I obviously will never complain about a linear hallway, but um, yeah, I'm only a few hours into Hades 2, but I think it's pretty interesting and fun so far. The soundtrack is crazy. A lot more vocal tracks than before. It reminds me of Bastion
Okay.
a lot in that sense, because I mean, they always have vocal tracks, right, in all of these games. But I think this one specifically just has a lot more. I mean, one of the bosses is literally a rock band of sirens or whatever that you're fighting.
That's cute.
So they have some dynamic music for that, which is fun.
Mhm.
I'm enjoying it so far. It's crazy how high production value it is, I would say, though. Like, it Hades 1 already felt kind of like that. All the Supergiant games look very nice, don't get me
Mhm.
wrong, but it's like this one feels like, oh wow, you got the money from Hades, huh? Like,
Mhm.
geez. Yeah, looking forward to playing more of that, because the nicest thing is it runs really good on the Steam Deck. Like really, really good. Like, it doesn't drain the battery at all.
We are definitely hitting that point where I think games are being made to run on this, Steam Deck and stuff like that, which I think
Yeah,
is good. Um it's such a weird thing where we've hit a point where, games are going to kind of get pulled back, I think a lot, like graphics wise, to run on these handheld consoles, and I think that could be a good thing, but it could also just be a mess because a lot of games are going to be trying to juggle all these things where it's like, well, we're going to keep trying to push the graphics because that's what everyone keeps saying they want, but then everyone also wants them to run on Steam Deck, and we can't have it have perfect reflective surfaces and also not make your Steam Deck start
yeah.
to put your hands on fire, like
I will have to see what whatever the next Steam Deck thing looks like. I know that
Mhm.
there's stuff like the ROG Alley, but that stuff is like, I, I, I don't know if you saw the price ranges on those,
Extremely
but
expensive.
I don't think most people are gonna get that.
I mean,
Um,
like there was like an $1,100 one that sold out, but that could just be that they
who
didn't make
knows how
that
many there
many.
were, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. It's
Um,
whatever.
I I will say also though that the Steam Deck situation is really weird, where it's like I think you're absolutely right, and I'm curious to see how people like who actually care about the Steam Deck like gradually figure things out and like try to create weird compromises between versions and stuff. Like Baldur's Gate 3 just released a Steam Deck version last week,
Huh.
actually, which was pretty cool because it means that like so the way the Steam Deck works is it has Proton, which is their Valve's compatibility layer with Linux.
Mhm.
And when Proton runs, it makes a lot of things work really well, but there is like a degree of using your CPU and graphics card to run through that layer, right? Like it's just like
Yeah.
putting a filter over it basically. And then by making a native Steam Deck version, that means it doesn't have to do that, so it can run better,
Mhm.
which is cool. And you see that with a lot of people. Like there'll be an update for a random game all of a sudden. Like Risk of Rain Returns just did it semi recently, where they were like, "Hey, this is the Steam Deck update. Yes, it ran on the Steam Deck before, but now it like runs better with the battery
It
and all this other stuff."
runs on the Steam Deck, yeah.
Yeah, like it runs really good. But a lot of games that run well on the Steam Deck on their own will still get the official marking system from Valve saying that it's like, oh, it's okay, I guess. It might work. But then you have games like Dying Light, that new Dying Light game, or like I'm trying to think like what a lot of them get the verified badge from Steam. Like, yeah, you can play this. Spider-Man 2, a good example. And it's
Mm.
like then you play it on the actual Steam Deck and it's like runs at like 10 FPS on low, and it's like, okay. So it is this weird thing where like I do wonder if people will care enough in the larger game sphere if they can just keep getting Valve to say yeah, sure, whatever right, right now. Um, but yeah, I love the Steam Deck. I'm sorry to be a weird Steam Deck head here, but I'm like, oh, it's so nice just having this little thing that basically runs any game.
It's cool. No, I get it. It's very nice. It's a neat little thing, and hoping the Switch 2 kind of becomes that, but
It would
you
be
know.
nice. I would like the Switch 2 to be good.
But also, yeah, I should probably just get a Steam Deck eventually.
I would say probably get whatever the next one is.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna wait for, yeah. Alright, Lily, do you want to speak on something that you've been up to?
Sure. We can keep the trend going where every time I'm on the podcast, I talk about somehow a different iteration of Trails.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes.
The guy looking in the window with the sicko's shirt.
That's me every time I win. Every
Yes.
time I get someone else is playing Trails, I'm like, yes, the cultural victory is soon.
So I I think like I talked a bunch of like negativity about Trail's second chapter. And the reason for that was, as I said, entirely a me problem. Like there are some games where they hit like they didn't hit their stride for me personally like in their earliest entries. And like I've kind of watched someone like in like another respect like a franchise I really like start playing Final Fantasy from entry 1, and it was like watching that in reverse because she was just like, "Oh my goodness, I love how open this is and I get to decide my own
Oh,
party. Is every Final Fantasy like this?" And I had to go, "No, it's not." But so, Trials from Zero, as of right now, as a gamer who has at this time sunk 15 hours into it and have just started day 2 of Act 3, uh I have virtually zero complaints with it.
that's what I see happen with a lot of people. Everyone loves fucking Crossbell. They all want to be there.
So here's the thing. I am talking purely from a gameplay perspective here.
Okay, yeah.
So with Crossbell, a lot of like the so trails like in the sky, like the arc of it, except for 3, which is, like the black sheep. But the whole narrative arc is traveling around the entirety of Liberal, and the tediousness of walking on foot is kind of the point, because it kind of connects you to the world. It makes you feel like these places exist spatially instead of just being a series of spaces you just teleport between. That's much less the case in Zero. Like, Zero's theme is kind of like, if I had to say one thing, it's kind of a tradition versus progress kind of story, but it's also kind of doing a thing where it really wants to talk about how old things and new things can exist simultaneously, and they both have bespoke issues, but they kind of need to exist in tandem rather than it being a strict versus. And with that in mind, we also kind of see that happening with gameplay, which is really funny because now you have fast travel. You can just go, like, it is really funny that the fast travel in that game is just getting on a bus. Like, it feels very real.
It's
I feel
real.
very seen.
The realist.
So John, you started playing Trails first, and
Yes, Trails in the Sky first, the remake. That is what I'm starting with.
so in that one, like, they have the menu where you can futz with the quartz that gives you magic, and
Yeah.
that menu is separate from like the spells you get from it. And
Kinda.
well, it's like a different tab basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to like go through all of that. We've changed that. You have a party member who is like your dedicated scanner, basically. Like, her whole thing in combat is she just points at a guy and goes, "Yeah, I know that bitch's weakness. You should light him on fire."
You know what? I
And
will.
Something fucked up about Sky First.
go ahead.
They just auto scan every enemy for you.
I don't hate that, especially when you consider, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
aside, I looked at a guide at one point. I think I've talked about this before. I might have made a post on Blue Sky about it. Oh my god, looking at the guides for Zero, those are written by maniacs. There is so much missable in that game where it's like, oh, this enemy is a unique boss, but every instance of his shadow clones is a different missable, scannable guy.
Uh-huh.
Or it's like, if you want every recipe, hey, I know you're dealing with the mob, like the literal honest to god motherfucking mob in town, but if you can afford it, you should walk out into the countryside and ask grandma 4 separate times for her spaghetti recipe, or you'll miss it forever. And
That's
I
really
had to
good.
just be
just
like,
real.
I can't look at the guide because I'll just see the guy that wrote it in all red text. If you haven't done this, you will lose it forever, over like 40 things per chapter. And I'm going crazy.
You will be
This is the
without
thing
spaghetti forever.
This is the thing I was saying in my Trails review for first, of just like playing that one after playing all the old ones is like, holy fuck, the stuff they added in Daybreak that just lets you like see every character you haven't talked to and marks every missable on the map is like, oh, oh,
See,
we need this forever.
the thing is, I understand the appeal of that on some level, because it's like, it sucks to like have some, like, because again, very personal experience, but a formative memory of mine is getting stuck on a boss in like Xenogears. And then you're like, oh my god, this is the most frustrating thing in existence. And you look up a guide, and the guide is just like, use this item that you definitely picked up earlier, stupid. It makes all of his attacks do 0 damage. Also, if you didn't buy them, you can't ever get them again. Sorry. That kind of stuff drives me crazy in games, especially when like the guide is just clearly built for you to be using the guide from the beginning. Trails isn't that bad. There are some cases. There was one boss that was a little frustrating, and it's frustrating. Strangely enough, it's frustrating for the same reason in every Trails game, where it's like, hey, here's the boss whose gimmick is Death Blow. I sure hope you put Death Blow resistance on before the fight.
There's a
But
lot of you played third, right?
mm-hmm.
Okay, so like I think that's like the most when they start really getting into that like put on the right accessories before the fight.
Yeah, and
And it's like
to be fair, third is like almost expressly a dungeon crawler with a story. I can kind of accept that to an extent. Whereas like it's very strange because sometimes like cuz the cool thing that I like about Trails is seeing enemies that are very explicitly very weak to certain status effects. Like a fight that would be hyper frustrating in Trails first or second, where it's like here's 8 guys hitting your 4-man party. No, your party member uh just has a flashbang that blinds everyone and now they can't do anything. You have deleted the fight, essentially. That's really fun. That's really empowering. And that stuff's all really good. The main point of contention that I have with Zero as of right now is they're making me play as a police officer, and I'm not a fan of that, but we don't
yeah.
have to get into the ethics of that.
But you're the most special police officer.
I'm a nice cop, smile.
You're the RPG protagonist officer. Don't worry about it.
You're in the special support squad.
It is really funny to me because again, obviously Trails is this big arcing chronology where you have dozens of characters who repeatedly show up again, and the game really wants you to go like, I know that guy. Really funny to have Joshua and Estelle just show up and the plot like all but derails to just show you how cool these characters are again. And then they just leave. They're not like super relevant until you're like running a gay marathon. And I say explicitly a gay marathon because what the heck happens at the end of that marathon?
Randy Orlando is the coolest guy ever. That's how I feel.
That's his name.
That's his name.
I believe you. I'm not gonna.
He's fucking awesome.
Rando Orlando.
Fantastic.
I'm so excited.
Go ahead.
I'm so excited because he's in the next Cold Steel game I have to play, where he becomes Reen Schwarzer's work wife.
I think he kind of has the capacity to be anyone's work wife because his entire persona is built around like I don't know. I don't know what his specific damage is because every Trails character needs to have something. But
don't we all?
He has the trauma of I need to be useful at all times or I'm going to die.
You'll see in time.
Which, relatable. But I've been enjoying it. Good time. Good game.
Yeah, I really like Zero. I think like specifically its angle as a state between two empires trying to maintain its independence sort of, and like the cultural intersection and economic specifically intersection, which they get into in the second game a lot more, is really cool. I think you can tell that they studied a lot of like weird stuff that was happening in Europe in the 80s and 90s specifically.
Yeah, it's this weird thing that strangely enough reminds me a lot of TTRPGs, funnily enough, because most of the conflict in the story is just faction interplay. It's like every power player is just like having a fist fight in the middle of town, and this poor group of kids whose boss won't stop chain smoking cigars and leaving work at noon is just like, yeah, solve that, kids, I guess, bye.
Yeah.
If you break the law, at least make it be cool, see ya.
Do they have their child yet?
They don't have their child. They did have Ren show up, and
Oh yeah.
again, the moment where I just kind of had to sit up and yell at my screen because I was like, "Oh my god, she's back! My girl is back!" That girl can't stop speaking ominously and precociously and honestly. Relatable.
Yeah, I was
Same.
gonna say you too.
All right, well, you're gonna get into the beautiful time where she's addicted to computers now, also. So
I really enjoyed the literal sewer dwelling hacker pizza addicted boy whose an only personal trait is that he is constantly getting owned by a cat girl.
Damn, they got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in this shit now.
kind of.
Great.
Oh, Tio's awesome. I love Tio so much. They
We love flat affect girls.
she's so good that they literally just keep making one for every game, basically. After that, for every arc, I should say specifically. It's inspiring. Yeah, I'm so glad more and more people seem to be playing Trails these days.
The main thing is like the thing that got me into Trails, once again John shakes fist, um is kind of like, I don't want to say that I've been like disillusioned by mainstream like JRPGs because there are still clearly good games coming out. I think more than anything, the issue that I readily have with like Octopath and the newest iteration of Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest is that each one in different senses has deviated from what kind of made me fall in love with the genre in the first place. So basically having someone just like do the equivalent of shaking like a great value box of goldfish at me and saying like, here you go, it's all right here, you can eat this for breakfast every day for a month and you won't even get sick. That's not an actual anecdote. Don't worry about that.
Okay,
But it's good.
believe you.
Someone else should talk now.
Yeah, we could do that. That's fine.
You can barely tell that I drank a Red Bull before the podcast.
Nikolas, if you
I
like,
don't know if you want me to talk about the game that I played. I don't know if that's
I
gonna
mean,
do anything. For
I
any
d-
of us here.
I do, but I don't know if you do. Is the thing? It sounds like you might have some difficulty
You
wrangling this.
you could talk about how you beat John and I's ass at cross tag.
That was
That's
just
true.
being mean. That was just me like playing a game with both of you, and you're like, I don't really want to play this game seriously. Playing against a guy who isn't playing the game seriously, but does like look up most evil things I can do in this game. But
How to
when we
upset
were
people.
playing, it's not even how to upset people, because like I was trying my hardest to not piss you guys off, basically, because that game has some really evil shit in it that I wasn't doing. Like, there's, yeah, I don't, you know what? Getting into the specifics of like messed up fighting game stuff is not going to really do anything for anyone here. I don't think anyone here is going to be like, yeah, I
No,
totally agree.
please.
That character's jump heavy being like not being like, I don't know. I don't think that's really gonna do a whole lot.
I mean, you could talk about like what you thought was, like what do you focus on in fighting games? What brings you back to fighting games over and over? You know?
That I can play them with friends. That's like it. I think it's a fun genre to play with buddies. I don't play like any of them seriously. I tried it with plus R, and then I
Mhm.
got my ass beat so bad when I tried it online that I decided this is not a genre I want to pay attention to seriously.
Sure.
And it, it is a genre that I just treat as party games, essentially. I know it's more than that, but
But it
if I
can.
try treating it as more than that, I'm gonna get mad, and I don't want to get mad at silly, fun video games I play with my friends.
Sure.
I could talk about Trails in the Sky 1, but I feel like I'd rather save that for when we're all doing that.
You could do whatever you want. If you want to talk about it, you can. You know, it's all good. You know, or you could or I could force you to talk about the thing you wrote down because you wrote it down.
Alright. I'll just talk about that and save the Trails discussion for later.
Yeah, sure.
Oh boy, so I told this story last night, but to reiterate it on the pod, I, as I've said before, I will play games or do things solely because I think they are funny. And something I thought was very funny was one of my friends, I think they like essentially lost a bet or like said something that they then had to back up of I could essentially them saying I could beat Five Nights at Freddy's World, the free RPG, the free JRPG FNaF World on Game Jolt that you can download right now. And I thought for whatever reason, because I knew like a few things about that game beforehand, like I knew generally what characters were good, how it operated, that sort of thing. I was like, I should play this game. I should beat it faster than him because I know what I'm doing and I know vaguely like what some of the deeper mechanics are. And just the entire time be making fun of him and going, "Oh, no, that boss is easy. You just need to find the secret like shield ship." Or, "Oh, no, this maze isn't even that hard. You just need to like hold the left wall at all times. That's how mazes work." Or, "Yeah, this dungeon isn't super annoying. All the enemies see it. Like if you have the right party, you just don't have to deal with them." And that level of hubris and evil unfortunately backfired on me because that meant I had to play through the entirety of the free JRPG on Game Jolt, Five Nights at Freddy's World, and that there were real video games I could have been playing during that time, but unfortunately, that was the one I landed on,
Mhm.
and it is. I do not know the nicest or like most logical way to put this sentiment.
I mean, you don't have
FNAF
to be
World
nice.
FNAF World is like it is the most interesting, like, or I guess cool ideas that would be engaging that you can put into a game without it being engaging in any capacity whatsoever.
Okay.
Like that game's gameplay is genuine. I've heard it described as Chrono Trigger meets Coco Melon, and that is the same descriptor that I would use myself for it. It is just characters stand there on a field. You randomly get ATB style prompts that have moves
Yeah.
on them, and then you click those moves, and that's it. And it's like it doesn't feel like a real video game. It feels like something that is Scratch. Scratch, that like coding language
Yes.
thing for kids. It feels like that. It feels like a game made in that, but with Scott Cawthon models. And I will say, I want to open like a genuine point of praise I have towards the game, like probably the biggest point of praise, is that because like it's an RPG spinoff of a horror series, and I think the way it integrates its horror elements is genuinely really smart because it's not a scary game, but it is a game that feels like it was designed to evoke like creepypasta playground rumor style stuff, if that makes sense. Like there's a lot of weird imagery just in the corners of the world. Like in the second area, there was just a weird shadowy figure dancing on a tree stump. There was nothing like scary about it, but it's just like a weird guy that dances and you can't get to him. And it's just like that's a cool thing that like I can imagine people talking about like if this was in a real game when we were kids. Like gotten to like the scary guy back there. What do you think he does? Do you think that's a party member? Do you think we can fight him? There's like
What's Purple Guy's friend?
There's like secret areas you can go into by clipping into objects, like by walking into them for long enough. And they can let you like find secret items that aren't like normally marked on the world map. It feels like, oh yeah, you can go get Nightmare Fredbear by going underneath the truck and looking at it instead of the Mew. It's like old. It's a game meant to evoke like that sort of old rumor stuff, and I think that's really really cool. Which is unfortunate because all of that is done in service of getting items and like party members for the most basic battle system that you could ever come up with for an RPG. So it's like, oh cool, I did a bunch of cool secret shit and now I have a shield that makes it so I have to pay even less attention because the shield instant blocks all instant kill attacks. Got it. So like I don't it I get why, because you find that cool secret rumor shit, and it's like, whoa, this is a super powerful item. This is awesome. But it is kind of sad that the most engaging and interesting part of the game, like the one actual positive I have towards it, ends up invalidating everything else and making all the other parts even worse, which sucks because there is something cool. There is an intent in there, which I am surprised by. I will say, I went in thinking it was just going to be completely mindless, but it was only 95% completely mindless.
Yeah, I'm looking at
It's
this
not good. Don't play
footage.
it, but
I put footage up on the stream right now because I just wanted to see what the hell yeah, and all right. Oh
yeah,
God.
this is early game, but you want to go to the late game to see the sensory overload that it just genuinely turned into. If you look up the final boss or something, it's gonna be like, oh, there's 50 different things going
Oh,
on.
oh. What are we doing?
Oh, and it's like the game also is like addicted to damage over time effects. I don't get why, but there's like 7 different status effects
This looks like
that are
shit.
just damage over time. Well, this is because it's in like an area that intentionally messes with your view.
Okay.
So this doesn't look a whole lot better.
There's Freddy. His bear.
Pretty Fabar. There's not a whole lot to talk about with this game. It is
Ugh. I
yeah.
don't. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna have to like put up like a fucking like
I
seizure warning for this, like legitimately. Oh my God.
It makes your brain like gloss over. You
Yeah.
look at it
Ugh.
for too long. You play it for too
I
long.
I do want to provide context that I've only seen the old version of FNaF World, because he released it on Steam and it was 2D primarily, and then he raged out. I looked it up to confirm he raged out because it only had an 87% positive review rating on Steam, so he removed it and then replaced it eventually with a fully 3D overworld and 3D animated version on Game Jolt.
Okay.
It's very odd.
Yeah, that's
I could have
okay.
2D FNAF World is lost media.
What?
It's lost media. It only had an 87% positive rating.
And why
I
bother?
wish I had like a real game to talk about. But unfortunately, I've just been
I mean,
in
this is a
great
real
content.
game.
It's
It's made
the.
by one of the
Saying
most
that.
successful game developers of all time.
It's true. Yeah.
But is it though?
Yes.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we don't have to
It's
be happy about it, but it is real.
yeah. This is gaming. This is the truth of gaming.
Probably more of a game than those last couple ones that other company has made for Five Nights at
This
Freddy's that have come
this
out on
is
VR and
probably
stuff.
one of the last actual games that got made. This is definitely more a real game than like the kart racing one they made.
Oh,
FNAF cart.
FNAF World is probably in the upper echelon of FNAF games? Question mark.
yeah,
Because it's at
probably
least
because
funny in its own way.
like Five Nights at Freddy's 3, yeah, 3 is the one that I just remember is like entirely sound based, and he broke the sound system like before it came out. So it came out and it was just like people were like, "Whoa, it's so much harder than, than the last game."
It's fantastic. Thank you.
It's
Um.
fantastic.
I don't know if I want to just hop back to Rose or if I just if I'll go ahead and do my big old game. How about that?
Yeah.
So I got
Yay.
Time Stranger. I got the new Digimon game. Um it's something. So I am enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. I have to mute. Okay, my bad. Um I'm enjoying it. Don't get it twisted. And I think that for the most part it is a very good game. But I think the funny thing about this game is that it is totally going to be the most successful Digimon game. Easily. Because if you play this game casually, if you're just, just playing through it, you're not overthinking anything, you're just like, I want to have this Digimon, I'm going to raise it, and I'm going to go battle. And that's it. You're going to have a fantastic time. If you, for whatever reason, say, for example, if you're like me, John, who's like, I want to min-max things and fuck around with it and find out new cool things to do, you're gonna become a little, just a little miserable at times. Because okay, I'll try to start from the beginning here. So it is it's a pretty standard JRPG. You play as this cyborg 009 looking motherfucker, either the boy or the girl, and you are like part of like an anomalous. You're like I wouldn't say it's like an SCP Foundation kind of thing, but you're basically just like this group that's going around trying to solve weird things going on. And you end up getting sucked into a portal that brings you to the digital world, and then it spits you out 8 years in the past. So you're kind of trying to stop this Digimon event from happening that causes like a big disaster 8 years in the future. And your character doesn't talk. You're basically just filled in on like your backstory and everything from because like whichever opposite the one that you pick is the one that's like talking to you basically. I think they're siblings. They're presented as such, but they also like it's like one of the things that they talk about, like, oh, your father died trying to fight some anomaly or whatever, and the other character does say like your father. They don't say our dad. They go your father was killed by. It's like, is that your dad too? Are we like? Is that? I don't know. Very weird. I will say so. A lot of the writing in this game is a little rough, just in the fact that I think they could have trimmed it a ton. Um, there's a lot of scenes that are just characters being like, "Let's talk. I think we should talk about what just happened. We should do that in another room." And then you go into the other room, and it's like, well, I'm happy that you're here in this other room. Now we could talk about what happened. There's a lot of scenes like that where it's very much overwritten. The translation is good though, which is funny, and it's like the opposite of what happened with Cyber Sleuth, where like they actually did a good translation, but I think they should have trimmed up some of the dialogue. But yeah, I think having your main character be silent was a little bit of a misplay as well. But once you get into the groove of things, you are in the past. You meet up with this father and daughter, where the dad is like, "Oh, I used to be some sort of detective or agent or something, so I'm gonna let you crash at my place because you're trying to save the world from the Digimon." And then the daughter ends up trying to save a little Digimon in the sewer, and then he digivolves into Agiomon, which is like he's just basically like a boy. Like he looks like a human boy with like satyr legs. Cuz I'm trying to keep this straight cuz there's just so much stuff going on in this game. Um and then it turns out that he's from a different digital world than we're used to. because there's a while back they introduced the concept of like basically there being multiple servers of Digital World. And there's one that is run by basically Yggdrasil, and it's like a main server computer, the Yggdrasil computer, that has a bunch of the royal knights at its beck and call. So that's like Omnimon, Gallantmon, if you know those Digimon, like it's all those like knight type looking Digimon. And then this server that this game is kind of based in is the Iliad server. So it's got like Greek god Digimon, like it's got like Plutomon and like you meet Minervamon pretty early on. Like it's more like Greek era kind of stuff, which is neat. Like it's cool to have the different sort of like power structures and all that, because also like Yggdrasil over in that stuff, because Yggdrasil's often the bad guy in a lot of stories. So it's kind of cool to have a different story where it's like the sort of powerful entities of that world are more good and trying to help people, because it's like, but also it's interesting because like whenever the Royal Knights show up, it's like, okay, which of the Royal Knights are gonna just listen to Yggdrasil and which ones are gonna not listen to him, because most of the time it's like, oh, Omnimon says fuck you because you need Omnimon to be a good guy. um or Omegamon, whatever you want to call him. I'm sorry if this is just a lot, because Digimon is a lot, and I think it's kind of interesting that this game is as immediately popular as it is, because it does kind of feel like I feel lucky that I kind of got more into Digimon recently. Like before hopping into Time Stranger, like this feels kind of like a weird starting point, but it could probably be a fine starting point. But then you get into the gameplay. The gameplay is very basic JRPG stuff. You're going in and you are, leveling your guys up. You can digivolve them once they hit certain it's not levels, but it's like certain stat points. So you'll gain stats as you level up, but you'll also gain stats by a variety of different factors. There is a talent number that goes up to 100, and that helps your stats grow. There's a bond percentage, so if you use that Digimon in battle, or if you feed them food when they're on the farm, they'll get closer to you. There is, you can generate Digimon. If you defeat enough of a single Digimon, you're able to basically just generate one, and that's how you get new Digimon. But you can also just generate a bunch of them and then feed them into one Digimon, and that gives that one Digimon more stats. So there's just a ton of ways to just boost your stats like fucking crazy. And that is when it gets overwhelming, because I'm at this point where I'm just like, am I overdoing this, or am I doing this right? Should I be grinding as much as I am? Should I be feeding all these Digimon in? Should I be, like focusing on getting their bond up? Because I feel like I could probably make do if I just went straight forward and all that, but also I want to have a really powerful Diaboromon, an Armageddon or Armageddonmon, like its evolved form, because I really love Diaboromon. So I could do that, or am I just gonna end up having that if I just keep playing? I don't know. So I'm trying to like look at YouTube videos and stuff, and everyone's just kind of like, we don't really know yet, because there's so many moving parts. And then there's also like a personality that your Digimon can be, and that shifts based on what they digivolve into, and also it can be shifted by using certain items on the farm. Like if you put them on the farm, it's basically like, oh, they'll just passively gain EXP, and you can also assign them to do different things, and then while they're doing that, that'll change their personality. and their personality is kind of like a Pokemon nature, where it'll be like, oh yeah, this like boosts, like if it's like this personality, it's like plus attack and HP or whatever. So it's kind of that. It's just there's so many moving parts, and people haven't really nailed it down yet. So if you're taking it more seriously, like I normally do, it's kind of the Wild West, and I don't know like what is the correct amount of crazy to go, I guess, right now. But I'm sure that people are just, if they're just playing it straight and they're not, trying to dive into that stuff, I'm that is probably where you're just gonna have a good enough time with it. Um, like I just got to the digital world because I was grinding a bit, trying to get my guy stronger. But it's cool. It's a neat game. Like the concept, the combat is better than Cyber Sleuth for sure because there's just more options. One of the things where I was like, oh my god, is you can just use an item once per turn for free. Like it doesn't take up your.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it doesn't take up your action if you use
I
an
think
item.
that's how you fix items in turn-based games, broadly speaking. I can't believe more games don't do that.
Yeah, you can do that. You can also switch out for free, but it has to be that specific Digimon. So like during its turn, you can swap out, for free, which is nice as well. And then there's also these like special, I think they're called like cross attacks or something, where your character has like this cool digital gun, and once you've gotten enough points, you can basically just pop a thing where it's like, oh yeah, this does a bunch of damage to your opponent for free, or this will heal everybody, or this will boost everybody's stats, and you can unlock more of them as you go, because there's like a skill tree too that you get points for that, for clearing side missions and stuff like that. It's a big game. It's a really big game. It looks nice, it's stylized. They actually have a budget here for sure. I like it quite a bit, I'm very into it. But yeah, there's just like little things where it's like it's a little weird, like yeah, like the dialogue like that. And there's also this like very strange card game mini game where in Cyber Sleuth they had a thing where you would go around to like, it was basically just a gachapon machine. You go to a gachapon machine, you would spend some money, and you would just pull out like a pog basically of Digimon. They just had a shit ton of these Digimon pogs, and they didn't do anything. You could sell them to a guy. You could get some money back for that from that guy, and then he would just have the collection of all their medals, all the medals that you sold him, and you could look at them, and they were just like the art of the Digimon. And so I guess they wanted to like up that a little bit more, but not as much as like previous games did, because like in Digimon World 3 there was like a whole card game. Like they had an entire mini game that was just a card game. It was basically the Digimon card game that existed at the time. But I guess they decided not to do that because we have a new card game, but we're also getting an actual official client for that very soon. So they were probably like, yeah, we don't want to put that into Time Stranger because then people would just play it for free on that instead of our fancy client. So instead, you basically just you have cards, and it's so weird. You start the game against somebody, and you draw 5 cards out of your entire collection of cards. Like, you don't make a deck. It just chooses 5 random cards from your collection. And then you do battle by just putting them on, like, a VPET, and they attack. But it's almost completely random who wins or loses. It'll be like, oh yeah, I put, like, a Mega down. And they could put, like, a Rookie down against you. And there's a chance that the Rookie will just win. Like, I think there's, like, a higher chance if your guy is stronger, if it has, like, a type advantage or whatever. But it's not 100%. There's just a chance, no matter what you do, that you'll just lose for no reason. And it's, like, that's how the VPET was, like, back in the day. Like, you would put the VPETs together and they would battle. And it's like, sure, But it's just like such a weird thing because it feels like it's just like them trying to be like, well, people aren't going to just want to collect cards. We have to make them interact somehow. And it's just a very odd thing. Um I don't really know why they're doing that, but I don't know. I'm not like upset about it, but I was also just like, why bother putting this in if it's like just kind of a coin flip almost? I don't know. Weird. Um, but yeah, it's good. Um, they're the DLC is a bit much. I will say I haven't gotten any of the
Yeah.
DLC, but like yeah, there's like a $30 season pass, which I might eventually get because those are like actual new missions that they're going to be adding with like new Digimon and stuff. But then it's like I think that season pass also includes some costumes and stuff. But then there's separate DLC that is not in the season pass that you also don't get with like the Ultimate Edition or whatever. That's like, you know, in like SMT games, they have like those DLCs that you can get to just like grind money or EXP or whatever. They have those.
Fire Emblem.
Yeah, they have that completely separate. You have to buy that separate. That doesn't come with the season pass. And then they also started to release like DLC that is music from the anime that you could just be like, oh yeah, I want like Butterfly to play during every battle or whatever. Like you can do that, which is kind of cool, I guess. But it's like, I don't know if it's like, I think it's like $8 or $10, something like that. Like I don't think that's $10. Like I don't need that bad. It's a bit much asking for that, but you know,
Yeah.
I guess at the very least, I'm happy that Digimon is getting pushed as it is. You know.
Yeah, I am curious to see if they end up doing a Hacker's Memory style. I feel like Hacker's Memory was just a sort of asset reuse of uh, Cyber Sleuth, right?
Yeah.
Like sort of, so they could probably get away with that again with this, which I think generally works well for a lot of games.
I mean, we'll see, because it seems like they're trying to push this as like a bigger, you know, a bigger thing. Because yeah, Hacker's Memory was, you know, both like Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory were Vita games, you know, so they were smaller, like
Yeah.
you know, more experimental things. Because yeah, Digimon was like a handheld series for a long time, like you know, like after like what, like World 4.
I think it was World 4 that I don't
Yeah,
know. There's like one more that's not called World 4 that's I think also on consoles, but it's really bad.
yeah. I mean, it was like that. Digimon was in a bad spot for a hot minute. Like World 4 is not a great game, and then like you know there were some like I do want to play like Dawn and Dusk and some of that stuff. Um, but yeah, Digimon's just been a weird spot over here because they did make some decent games, but they didn't bring them over here. Like there's like Digitize, Redigitize, all that, and then there was that like I think like 15th anniversary or 10th anniversary Digimon Adventure game for PSP that was just like you just play, it was just an RPG where you play through the first season of the anime. That's such a Those games are always so weird where it's just like, hey, here's the anime as an RPG. You know, like they like there's that, and then there's like that Monolith Soft like Saiyan Saga DBZ game that I've heard is really good. That stuff is always so weird. Um, yeah, does anyone have any questions about Time Strangers? Anyone curious about anything about that game?
Um, you've kind of answered any of the questions I had just by talking because I've only seen a little bit of my friend playing it recently.
Okay.
But I is there any Digimon missing that you're sorrowful about?
I guess the thing that is a little, it's both disappointing and understandable because of how long this game took to make. Um, but there's no Digimon from the newest season of the show. Like there's no Ghost game Digimon.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, I was thinking you meant the beatbox or whatever it was
No, not
called.
even Beat Break. Yeah, no, of course not from that. But yeah, I mean, they haven't announced the DLC Digimon yet, so there's a chance that they might be the DLC Digimon. But yeah, nothing from Ghost Game. And nothing from like, because they've been pushing the card game so hard. There's nothing from like Liberator or anything like that, like any of the stuff from from the card game and from the like manga that they've been doing from that. And there's also like the Vital Bracelet stuff too, like the Pulsemon, the little guy from that, like Pulsemon's not in this. So yeah, there's definitely some stuff missing, but it's the kind of stuff where it's like I get it because they probably had like a cutoff for whatever, they had to be like, okay, this is what Digimon are going to be in this game, and then they didn't adjust that in the years that it took them to make it. But it is still just kind of a bummer that it's like, yeah, but also like people didn't care that much for Ghost games, so maybe they had the chance to do it and they were just like, because like, I mean, I think they should. I'm not saying that they.
Gamamon was cute,
but which I agree, and I think that they should have put the effort into it. But I bet they were like, well, I bet the reason why they didn't do that is because Gamamon has like 90 fucking Digivolutions.
That's true.
Yeah, like it's like the most like split motherfucker in the world, so they probably just didn't want to like program that in and all that. That would be a huge hassle, I bet. So I get it, kinda. But they should have, because it's Gamamon. It's the main Digimon of one of the anime series, so they should. Yeah, I'm gonna keep playing it. I'm going on vacay kinda next weekend. That's why I'm not gonna be here. I'm gonna be visiting my parents, so I'm not gonna lug the PS5 over. So that's why I'm playing Time Stranger now. I'm gonna get back into Trails once I'm traveling. But yeah, I'm enjoying my time with it. I just have to. I just gotta. I'm waiting for them to say, okay, this is the way to do the training, so that way you can become powerful and you don't have to go insane about it. Like, okay, let's figure that out. I think that's where I'm at right now. Yeah. Let's see. Get some news real quick. Go back to some. The big news this week is it's one of the biggest. What are you doing? What's going on? Of the year, I would say, is the update to Game Pass, specifically the pricing on Game Pass. Xbox Game Pass for the Ultimate tier, which used to be, I think originally it was $15 a month, right? Or something like that, or even less.
This is Ultimate, so 15,
yeah. Okay. And then they bumped that up to, I think, 20 a little bit ago.
It was like $21.99 or something insane, wasn't it?
Yeah, but we are officially at the point where Game Pass Ultimate now is $30 a month. There are further tiers that are cheaper, which I will explain here. So the lowest tier is Essential, which is 50 games playable on PC, console, and cloud, which is $10 a month. That will give you online multiplayer, unlimited cloud gaming, in-game benefits including for Riot Games, and play and earn up to $25 a year in the store with rewards. Whatever that means.
And you need that. Is that different from their core thing that you need for online? Or is that the...
I don't know. It doesn't say anything about a core. Maybe they're getting rid of core or something. I don't know.
Maybe they did that forever ago. I don't even know.
They might have, yeah. And then there's Premium, which is 15, which is new Xbox published games within a year of launch.
Within a year?
Within a year.
Oh, yeah.
Unlimited cloud gaming with shorter wait times. Those in-game benefits, the online console multiplayer, and you can earn up to $50 a year with rewards.
Whoa.
And then finally, Ultimate is 400 plus games for $30 a month. 75 day one games a year, including all Xbox published games day one, except apparently for Call of Duty games. Those are still not going to be Game Pass day one for whatever reason. Even though they bought Activision, you know. Okay. Ubisoft Plus Classics and EA Play included, with Fortnite Crew coming in November. Which, if you don't know, Fortnite Crew is basically just, it's like a $10 subscription that just gets you every battle pass and some other extra stuff. Like, they give you, like, V-Bucks and stuff every month. Which, I mean, if you play Fortnite, it's kind of, I guess, like, when I saw this, when I read through this, I basically just went, this is too expensive, but maybe it's an okay deal if you play Fortnite really obsessively. Like, maybe it's okay. If not, then unlimited cloud gaming at our best quality with shortest wait times and all the other stuff, and then you can earn up to $100 a year in the store with rewards. So if you want to do the math real quick, it is going to be $360 a year, which is funny, you know, 360, haha. That was their console. It's going to be $360 a year to do. Yeah, $360 a year for Game Pass now.
It's nostalgia callback.
Yeah.
I guess that makes it okay.
I don't know. My thing is, I know that these subscription models are designed around the idea of people who just fire and forget, right? Like, that's 100% what they're going for. But at the same time, I'm like, who is playing enough games to justify that? Like,
Your coworker Derek.
oh, who plays 2 hours of every first-party Xbox game?
Yeah,
Correct.
Stops. Yeah.
It's a weird thing because, yeah, I think we have hit the point where it is no longer just like a fire and forget thing, because I think a lot of people were just doing this to be like, hey, I play a couple of games a year, and now it is no, like, there is, I think there is a point where it is still worth that, because, you know, like, I've spent a good amount of money on games the past few months, like, and if all of those games were on Game Pass, if I was spending $30 a month, I would be saving money. But if you are very passive and you're not going to be playing all of these games, there's no way that this is worth it. Like, if it's just like, yeah, I buy like 5 games a year, if that, then no, this is way more than you want to pay for that. And yeah, as Plain Pat is saying in the chat here, yeah, it went from Xbox Live Gold to Core, and then they forced Core to change to Essential. So it went from 60 a year to 80 a year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's bad. When this got announced, the page to cancel Game Pass was too flooded and went down. So great. This is at the same time as it seems as though a bunch of stores are no longer going to be carrying Xbox consoles. Like, Costco already doesn't sell Xbox consoles anymore all of a sudden, and there's been some talk of like a bunch of different countries just being like, yeah, we're not selling them anymore. Like, I think Spain, just like no store in Spain is going to be selling Xbox consoles soon. Like, I don't know what's going on. There's been some rumors and like leaks and stuff from people that are saying like, yeah, Microsoft did just announce that they're going to put out a new console eventually, but they might actually backtrack that. They might just be done. And Microsoft came out and said, no, actually, we're still doing it. But now people are like, well, they're saying that, but that might be because they're gonna put out like a computer with the Xbox branding on it or something like that. But
Discounts, right?
yeah, it's increasingly, like I've been saying this quite a bit here and there where like it makes sense to be moving towards just we are going to put Game Pass on PlayStation and Switch and PC, and we are just going to be a third party now.
I would say it makes sense, but they also need to make games for that to
Exactly.
happen. Because right now, all of their deals are publishing deals for their platforms that they're giving people the money for and giving exclusivity rights to, right? Like,
Mhm.
launches first here, launches first there. And it's like, I don't like, what have they made that's been a real super banger in recent times?
I
Like,
mean, like
Avowed did okay.
people seem to like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that wasn't like gigantic, but that seemed like a good game. Like the only reason why I haven't played that is because of the BDS boycott. Like I would have played that by now if I'd gotten around to
But
it.
like they don't have like a Crackdown coming out. They don't have a Gears of War. They don't have a Halo. They don't have a, you know,
Yeah, like we got a Gears of War remaster. There's rumors that they're
the
going
second one.
they just basically remastered the remaster, like, and there's fucking rumors going around that that 343 is gonna remake Halo 1, even though there's a fucking Halo 1 remaster that's like perfectly good already out there.
And this one will be in Unreal Engine, I believe.
Yeah, like
Is the
it's just gonna be a bad version of Halo
Yeah.
1. Like, okay, great. I can't wait to play shitty Halo 1 when I already have.
But what if the Silent Cartographer was a giant open world map instead of a tightly focused island that you went through?
Well, no. I don't want to do that.
In that case, it's fine.
I don't want to spend $70 on fucking Halo 1. I'm good.
What if you did some
Well,
side quests in the library with 343 Guilty Spark
I don't
and he
want
said
to.
some memes?
What if he was made out of ray tracing?
Oh god, that's true. He would just be made of ray tracing.
It's fucking rough. Yeah, Microsoft, it's fucking rough. Like it's kind of funny that like not to downplay a really horrible thing that's happening, but it's a little funny to be like, oh, you should boycott Microsoft, and like the answer is just kind of like,
Oh, the
sure,
hardest thing in the world.
yeah,
Oh
like
no.
okay, like
They'll do the work for you.
yeah, it's just like you know what, sure. Yeah,
no
um
problem.
yeah, it's I mean it's a shame in a way because yeah, like they do own some good companies now because they did all this, like all these mergers and acquisitions, and that is a shame, but also it's fucking Microsoft. I can't feel, I can't feel bad about what's about this whole thing. It's just it's stupid. It's stupid, and yeah, they're just gonna try to put Game Pass on other stuff, and if they keep jacking up the price, nobody's gonna get it.
But you can get some Ubisoft classics now, John.
I'm good. I don't need to.
Ubisoft classics.
A
you say?
Ubisoft classic like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, that old gem.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what is on that? Like Rayman 1?
No, no, see, they call it classics and then they mean it's PS4 games
Oh, okay,
for the
so
most part.
we're
But
doing
then they
we're
do
doing
have PS5 games.
okay, so we're doing Retronauts logic where it's like it's 10 years old. Like,
Yeah, except it's like 3.
yeah. Like that's not
It's
how it
like they had
works.
like yeah, I think they have the fucking Avatar game on there already.
Fucked. Fucked. I don't
Not good.
Not good. Oh yeah, and there is one other thing too. I don't think this got officially announced, but I guess there are some like leaks and some reports that they are going to announce an ad supported version of Game Pass.
Which you can play for 5 hours a month. Is the line that I really liked from it.
Yeah, doesn't sound good. Um fucking no. yeah, people aren't gonna want to do that. They're just gonna want to buy games then. You know, like I'd rather just buy a fucking disc and not have to worry
I
about it.
I feel like they do their market from someone who looks at Reddit way too much, okay, in gaming
Wow.
threads. It feels like they do all their market research by looking at Reddit threads where a tech worker who does not play any video games says, "I would do that." Like that feels like their logic for everything.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so it's so weird because like yeah, ad supported stuff. It just I don't get why people keep because like people just so adamantly hate ads. They want to just pay for something and not have to watch an ad. And it always just comes back to we are making things more expensive and then we are going to make you watch ads. And
I mean, you see what marketing does to these people's brains.
yeah,
It's the most effective console war strong, empowering device.
his line has to keep going up forever. And it can't just be, well, we're making this much money on Game Pass, and that's good enough. You know, it's got to be, we need to make more and more and more. And we're going to make more money because we're going to start putting ads on there. People can't skip. And if they want to skip the ads, they can buy the more expensive Game Pass. Like, no, I'm just going to buy the fucking games. And they're probably going to end up being used. Like, I don't know. It's a mess. It's a fucking mess. They wanna start getting rid of disk drives and stuff, and they probably will eventually. And it's just I don't know. It's a fucking it's so frustrating. It's not good.
I mean, I think some things will remove disk drives, but I think those consoles still sell way too many physical games to justify it now, even though they keep pretending. Like, whenever you see those reports come out of people saying, like, oh, the physical disc sales are down, and then you look at, like, what the numbers in there are, like, here are the reported numbers of digital sales. Look, there's no physical here. And it's like, yeah, yep, that's how it works. Yep.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
but then you look and it's like, how many game sales? What the UK is the easiest one because they keep track of everything, and it's like how many game sales were digital versus physical, and it's still like 68% are physical in
Yeah.
like the UK and stuff like that. So
Yeah, like I saw like Time Stranger sold out physicals in Japan. Like they were just like, yeah, like
yeah,
you're yeah. Yeah.
I mean, at that point, we're talking the ethics of stats where people will push stats for things they really want to be
oh
true,
yeah,
especially when
Yeah.
the tolerances are fucking terrible. Companies would really, really like for you to make it so they don't have to worry about the logistics of shipping a physical product.
mm-hmm.
It's rough. It's fucking rough. I don't want to deal with that shit. I'm going to keep buying all my bullshit forever and ever and ever until they stop me from doing it. And then when they do, when they try to stop me, I'll be hell to pay.
You're gonna start printing the disc on like you're gonna print the game on a physical disc you buy yourself.
They'll try to, but they won't.
I mean, I think that's kind of like the incredible thing about pseudo physical media. Like the other day, I was walking through my local large, warehouse retailer of choice, and I remember stumbling upon like a flash card, like one of those little tiny guys you put in like digital cameras and stuff back in the day.
Mhm.
128 gigs for like $15. And I'm someone who really, really enjoys owning a DAP, like a digital audio player. And I was sitting there and it was like my moment where I was just staring at this little card smaller than my pinky fingernail and went, yeah, I could swallow that. I could swallow every Super Nintendo game that's ever been made all in one go.
You could swallow it by accident. Like, it's not even something that you'd have to try. Like,
I could lose every Nintendo 64 game in my couch.
yeah, gone.
And like the thing is, it's like I won't say storage is cheap, but in this
Comparatively.
particular era, in this era of things, you can buy a 6 terabyte NVMe drive and just like because the thing is, I make fun of my partner a lot for being like a data hoarder. Like she just loves to own everything in the event that like the internet goes out and she just needs to be entertained for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
She genuinely, I think, has like upwards of 1,000 PDFs on her computer of just things
I've
that
been
she
there.
can read. And the thing is, like in this kind of time period, like a thing that drives me crazy with like Microsoft Word constantly trying to default me to saving to a cloud that doesn't exist. Like I don't use Microsoft Cloud or whatever. The storage on your computer is still perfectly usable.
It's there. You got it.
And well, again, if you want to just have a little tiny flashcard with every song you will ever want to listen to, and then more beyond that,
You could do
you're
that.
free to do so right now, today. And in relation to that kind of concept of physical media, it wasn't a thing that I saw in like the the news section, but I can tie this into like what we were seeing with like Rock Band, right?
Mhm.
Physically owning something in any capacity means that they don't have the privilege of taking it away from you whenever they just feel like, oh well, Spec Ops the Line has music in it that we can't afford anymore, or what is the game where you plug in your actual physical guitar? I think it's Rocksmith,
Yes, Rocksmith.
where it's like someday they're just gonna go, so we need to take this whole like DLC down, or like Metallica is gonna sue us out of existence, so this game is dead now.
Yeah.
Own things is what I'm trying to advocate for anytime this subject is mentioned, because it's frankly nauseating when you think about how like you can spend $30 every month on Game Pass and then you pause and you think, "Oh, or I could spend that exact same amount of money to just have a little flashcard that has every game I've ever played in my childhood on it." Just a thought.
Well, your coworker Derek doesn't realize that he can do that with the flashcard. Is the thing.
I know our reach is not as big as like maybe some other podcasts, but maybe someday this clip will circulate beyond this point and someone will say, Derek, you specifically, and only you, can own your video games. And also stop talking me about FIFA at work. I don't care.
Derek's playing the Kimetsu no Yaiba fighting game right now.
He's thinking about how much more fun it used to be to play Budokai when he was a child, and his vague tweeting about how games are bad now.
I mean, Sparking Zero is missing some modes, but you know.
All right, Derek.
Hey, they're supposed to be doing more DLCs, so maybe they'll add those modes. You know, we'll see. That would be nice.
Do they still have that Dead by Daylight game?
Oh, the Breaker one? Yeah.
Yeah.
I
They
think
also have their own league now.
yeah, they did. So yeah, there's the Breakers game, which I've mostly just seen like a bunch of YouTube thumbnails that are people saying that it sucks now, which is really funny because I don't why like I feel like it would suck the entire time, not just now. And then yeah, they do have a MOBA now. They have a Dragon Ball Z MOBA, but I actually watched one of my friends play that for a while, and it seems perfectly fine. Like it's one of those MOBAs that it only takes like 10 minutes to play through a round, so I respect that more than most MOBAs.
I
Alright.
don't know if you want given any MOBAs any credit. I don't. You only go down. You only go down the spiral.
Like no, I'm not gonna play it. Don't get it twisted. But you know, I respect a game more if it respects your time.
It helps when the game is fun.
Yeah, that too. That too. Um. All right. We have one more. Or here, I'll talk about something a bit smaller. That I just think is kind of funny. It's a little peek into my neck of the woods, I suppose. Is anyone else here playing TCG Pocket still? The Pokemon TCG Pocket game, or ever played it? That's fine. That's understandable.
Nope.
No,
I've heard a lot about it though.
that's fine. Um, so they did something stupid with it, which they've done before. They've done dumb stuff with this stupid little gotcha game with fake cards that aren't even real. Um, but I just want to point this out because it's funny. They are releasing basically like a reprint set, which again is funny because they haven't like rotated any packs out. You can open any pack that has existed so far. Um, so yeah, it's not like in real life where it's a good thing to do a reprint set because then you'll get cards that you might have missed, or they'll re-inject stuff into the metagame and all that for people who play it. Um, for this one, they just went, well, we're gonna mash together a bunch of cards from the old sets, and then we're also gonna make like new foil versions of every card that's in this set, so it doubles the size of the set. And we're gonna make a few new prints of some cards, like, oh hey, here's this like the old Pikachu card that we did. Here's the Mewtwo, and it's gonna have a different art, and it's gonna be higher rarity. Um, and each pack has 4 cards, and it always has at least a 4 diamond rarity or higher. So there's gonna be at least an EX in each pack, which that's nice. But the way that sets work in that game is that you get certain bonuses and stuff if you complete sets. And they didn't make it so it was like, oh, if you pull this card in this booster pack, it counts for the set that it originally came from. No, it's counted separate. It is part of this set. So if you want to do some kind of like complete set thing, you would have to get it from this set too. And again, it's double the size because you can also pull it in foil. And they just made it so like people are just mad about that. They made like a huge bungle, and it's only going to be around for a limited time. So people are like in a rush to try to finish it if they're trying to finish a set. So it's this weird thing where it's like it's completely pointless and also just a bad set, and it's a dumb idea. I don't know what they were thinking. It's just a bad concept, I would say, for a digital game like that.
It feels like every couple months I hear you say this about this game.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't get it.
We got to do something about card games.
Yeah.
No more cardboard.
No more cardboard. Well, I don't know if that. See, it's not helping.
I want there to be cardboard. I just want it to be released normal. I want it to be affordable. Because like, Master Duel, like Yu-Gi-Oh's trying something new right now, which I actually really like. I don't know if you know what Canadian Highlander is for Magic.
I don't. I just really like that term.
It's a good term. It's basically just they assign point totals to certain cards, and then it's like, oh, you can put cards in your deck up to this number of points. So it'll be like they basically did that for Yu-Gi-Oh now, so that way you can actually play like it's called Genesis. If you're playing in Genesis format, you can play Pot of Greed now. Like you can, it's like a 15-point card or something. So you have to build your deck and fit it under, I think it's like under 100 points or something like that. Or I mean, they basically said like, oh, like if you want to just run a tournament that's like, oh hey, it's a 200 point or it's a 30 point, like you can do whatever. Like they're actually being like very open and very cool about it, which is refreshing from Konami, who has been very weird and very standoffish about stuff. And they're also like constantly like updating point totals, and they're like writing out like the reason why they've decided to do this, and they've been like posting a bunch of blog entries just to be like, this is why we think this card should be this amount, and this is why, like, here's some cards that we think here's a deck that we think you should make. Like they're doing that stuff, which is that's really cool. But then they're not putting that in Master Duel. Like their digital game, they're not putting that in. Like, why not?
I do wonder what the dev timeline is for that stuff, because I know a couple people who've worked on the Magic card game, the online one, and they say like that it took forever to even get to the point where they were at like parity in terms of getting information fast enough to actually implement.
Yeah, but I mean, like, this is the same company. It's Konami.
Yeah, I know. It's probably just a bad pipeline, is what I'm saying. I'm saying they probably have like some insane ideas of what needs to be distributed. Old Japanese men in charge of companies are insane.
I mean, the thing is though, is like MTG Arena, when a new set comes out, they have those cards on Arena, like as the cards are coming out. They don't do that. They don't do that in Master Duel. It takes like 4 months for new cards to come in.
Yeah, that's why I'm assuming it's some sort of weird thing that they're like, oh, we got to prevent leaks at every stage of the thing. I see it happen with insane
It's crazy. It's so stupid
as hell.
Every card game's got a problem now. That, like, because Magic is also struggling too because of the fucking Spider-Man set. Like everyone's mad at the Spider-Man set because it's a complete mess. It's a shitty set that people don't really like, and the thing with Arena that's really funny is because Marvel Snap exists, Marvel doesn't want Spider-Man stuff to be on the video game version of that. They had to make completely separate, like they had to make like new art and new stuff for, like, they basically made a whole second set for the Spider-Man set just for Magic Arena. And so none of it makes any sense. Like it's not cohesive at all because it's just all a bunch of Spider-Man stuff, so it's just like, oh, here's this like random goblin that can throw bombs for some reason. Here's this,
or the bagel.
Yeah, the bagel schmear, like they just had to come up with something else for that. Here's like, this is very obvious, this is supposed to be Crave, like the funny one is like for Kraven the Hunter, it was like I watched a video where people where it was like talking about how weird, like this like weird disparity with like what references what is these days, because like Kraven the Hunter is a pastiche of those like old like Hunter's Tales like magazines from like the early 1900s or whatever, of like shitty rich people killing animals and all that. And then eventually like there's like a Magic the Gathering card that is like very obviously based on Kraven the Hunter, but now there's a Kraven the Hunter card, and then now there's a card that is the stand-in for the Kraven the Hunter card in Magic Arena that is not that card that was based on Kraven the Hunter before. Like, it's a different character. So there's two guys that look like Kraven the Hunter that are not Kraven the Hunter in Magic because of this shit. It's like, it's fucking crazy. Like, they're making a Magic secret lair that are cards that have Dwight from The Office on them.
Yeah, that line I saw was really scary.
It's fucking rough out there. Fucking rough out there. But yeah. Let's see. Lily, what else have you been playing? What have you got going on?
So, my birthday was relatively recently. And I have very, very kind friends who like to gift me things. And one of my friends who's very lovely, uh she basically like gifted me like the Steam equivalent of an addictive drug with Rimworld.
Okay.
Does anyone know anything about Rimworld at
Oh
all?
yeah.
So my primary experience with this kind of like sensation that this game put in me is like stuff like Factorio or Civ or Satisfactory, which is like you will just lose entire pockets of time. No, in this case, it's not even strictly accurate. Civ is more accurate because it's not like a productivity loop. It's just Rimworld is kind of like the experience of watching like the most fascinatingly complex terrarium of all time, and you just get to mess with them in the kind of way that something like The Sims has never done for my brain. So so let me tell a story of something that happened.
Please.
Um so my little civilization had been thriving for a little while. And since first settling there, there was a little monkey named Scarlet, like a little, like I imagine, like a little red macaque, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And she had been kicking around with us. Like she basically self-tamed because one of the scientists, who, by the way, this scientist who was apparently also a serial killer. Yeah, that was one of the traits that I got.
I mean, you gotta have a day
Um,
job, even if you're killing people.
She, the serial killer, befriended the monkey. And without my realizing it, the bond that she formed with this monkey stopped her from killing my other settlers. Um, and one day, things were busy, and I needed the scientist character to mine for me. So, the simulation in Rimworld isn't like the most sophisticated thing in the world. Stuff will happen independent of other things, and like you kind of have to like extrapolate detail. But she was mining. The serial killer was in the mines. And she was digging, and she was not following OSHA certifications because I was like making farms over on the other side of the map, and then I just get a little notification. Yeah, this character died. And I had to be like, what happened? and I rush over to her cooling corpse. And apparently she had been digging like straight into the side of the mountain Minecraft style, and all of the stones had fallen on top of her and plunged her unconscious, and then nobody bothered to pick her up until she froze to death.
Not even the monkey?
So the monkey was the one who discovered her dead body. And the monkey
No.
proceeded to get depressed for
Well,
an
yeah.
entire year.
That's pretty reasonable. I think I'd be right there with them.
The monkey then forlornly meanders around the colony, and the old crotchety like man who is like my go-to builder, with a healing gunshot wound in his leg, in order to apparently take the monkey's mind off of his grief, kept repeatedly trying to train the monkey to be an attack monkey. And he succeeded somehow, despite that not being his job. And so we had an attack monkey for a time, which was interesting. And you might notice I used the word had.
No.
So let me tell you about the fall of Scarlet the monkey. So there is random dangerous wildlife roaming around the Rimworld. One of these is cougars.
Of course.
And so I was off doing something else, as I do, and I get a notification that Scarlet is being attacked by a cougar. And so my first response is, oh, good for her. And then I remembered that cougars are, in fact, animals. And I rush over, and a monkey is single-handedly trying to hold its own against a cougar. And so I take one of my other colonists, who was a 14-year-old who fell from space and broke all of her bones. Not enough time to explain that.
Yeah, of course.
I give her a handgun and try to get her to help the monkey. And little kid proceeds to ventilate the back of Scarlet's skull with a magnum. But that's also not the end of the story of
course.
Scarlet. So I had so basically the way Rimworld works is that there is this big complicated job priority board. So if you don't flag certain things, people will never do them, and some people refuse to do certain jobs, and other people will have issues. I had a job going because, why not? To set my butchery table to have a constant order to slaughter all animals when they die.
No.
So me still processing the death of this monkey, watch a man basically run by holding an entire upper body full of logs, scoop the corpse of this dead monkey out from under a live cougar, throw it on top, and then proceed to butcher the monkey before I can tell him to stop doing that. And that's the tale of Scarlet the monkey. And then at that point, I came back to myself and then realized that 14 hours had passed.
Oh
and that
boy.
my eyes hurt. And that's why I tweeted multiple times that, oh my god, this is the most dangerous game that has ever been gifted to me.
Excellent.
Anyway, yeah, it's pretty fun. It's a good one.
Sounds like it.
I also played more Strive somewhere in there. I'm at floor 9 now.
That good.
Somehow.
Oh, nice.
Go.
10 is the highest before you start getting into the celestial floors where everyone just kind of commingles. But
Okay.
still playing RAM. It is still kind of fascinating to me where it's like my mental conception of myself is that I'm someone who's kind of bad at fighting games.
Not anymore.
So like being capable of actually beating other living people is kind of like a trip for me because when I lose, my brain goes, well, yeah, that's kind of what I expected to happen. But when I win, I immediately make excuses for why that person might be having like an off day or something.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
No, you've learned. Did you learn something from your wins and your losses?
Yeah, which is that Slayer is quote unquote a fucker. I don't care that he's dandy. I don't like him.
I mean, that's. I feel like 90% of being into fighting games these days is just being mad at one character or another. So that just means you're a real fighting game player. Congrats.
I don't even mean like I'm mad at him for like his design. It's just every Slayer player has been mean to me personally. I was victimized into the corner when my character's whole gimmick is victimizing you in the corner.
Yeah, that's my job. Don't be doing that. Hey.
But no, having a lot of fun with fighting games.
Good. All right, Rose. Round us off with what you've been playing.
Hi. Um. j- what have I been doing? Okay.
How is the
Okay.
gambling?
Yeah. So the gambling. That's a good one to start with before I go to the other one. Clover Pit. Have you heard of this,
Yes.
John? Okay. It's pretty good.
I've heard of
I
it.
had
I don't really
exclusive.
know too much about it. I
Okay.
just know that Northern Lion's been
It's
playing it like fucking crazy.
it, yeah, because
No,
it's Balatro.
Yeah.
Northern Lion woke me up with Clover Pit.
That's
I fell asleep and inexplicably, despite not being subscribed to him screaming about like slots woke me up at like 3 in the morning one night.
Oh, are you a victim to the autoplay as well?
See, the thing is, I'm not usually like a fall asleep listening to YouTube thing, but YouTube has like a brain aneurysm from like trying to piece together an algorithm for me. So it tries to do the thing where it just assumes you're into this YouTuber right now. And so a month ago it was Germa, and now this month it is Northern Lion apparently. I can watch a video about literally anything else and we pivot back to Northern Lion and his gambling.
Some things never change.
They don't.
Past 15 years. Um, yeah, Clover Pit
Yes.
is just Balatro, but for slot machine. So the idea is you get like up to, and you can increase this with various upgrades, but you can basically get up to 7 spins of a slot machine per round, and you have 3 rounds to make a certain amount of money. In order to survive inside of this room that Jigsaw has trapped you in, or something.
Okay.
Um, it's this really like not rusticated, rusted. There we go, rusted room with
Hmm.
like a toilet, a a, a desk with a shop that you can buy trinkets from, a really bad computer, an evil phone that calls you sometimes and is either good or evil, and a door, and then a pit underneath you that will open up if you fail to get enough money.
Sad.
Um, so the idea is basically through the course of your run with the various trinkets you can buy, you will upgrade your slot machine or trigger resonances a la a card game, right? To get bonuses. So there's things like, hey, you put a chain modifier on random, like every 25% chance every time a cherry appears on the slot machine, it will have a little chain icon on it, and every time that chain icon is triggered, it gives a bonus that is increased every single time. So you're just adding to a pool. So then it's like you get to the point where every time you trigger any cherry thing, it's making you $1 million or whatever. That's an example of one of the synergies. And then you get stuff like cherries appear twice as often now. You get things to double the base value of cherries. You get things to make it so that you get more out of 5 pattern slot machine stuff like this. You get passive luck modifiers, all this stuff. And the idea is you just balance all these systems and you just try to keep making a lot of money, like Balatro, where you just try to keep going. It even does the thing where after a billion, it gives up and doesn't do a trillion and just does E as a number. Um, I initially had dismissed it because I thought that the aspect of gambling and odds and stuff was just not as interesting as a card game sort of thing where you're building a deck of, like, you're not building the slot machine out the same way, kind of like you're not exactly building a deck of like all hearts and all these things to exploit the thing, but to a degree you kind of are. When I actually played it, I was like, you are kind of doing that by getting cherries and stuff like that. I think the only problem with that game is that it has really bad runs compared to a lot of roguelike games or like Balatro, stuff like that. Like you can have a bad Balatro run, but this one's like you will lose like second round immediately just because it just was bad luck, which I
Sure.
guess is gambling.
Yeah.
but but it is the sort of thing for a video game roguelike that I can see people being like, eh. But it is very fun. It is very funny. I've only unlocked a certain amount of the mechanics to the game so far. I made it up to the E number.
Okay.
I still don't know how to unlock. He put this floating book that's above, put in the sky, and said, if you get enough coins, maybe you can have the floating book. And I'm like, okay, all right.
You get to play near if you win.
That's what yeah, that's gonna be my husband or whatever, and get up there. But yeah, I've been enjoying that game. I think it's really fun and it's really I think it's like $7 or something. I don't.
Okay.
It's pretty nice. It's pretty fun little game.
Cool.
I'm curious to see how it expands. It has a lot of trinkets you can get through and fuck around with, and you think like this sounds bad, and then you're like, oh, this is actually really good.
Sure.
Which is always the fun stuff of those. And that's why I always liked Isaac back in the
Hmm.
day. Was you would find weird synergies, right?
Yeah.
It's like this is the same way.
I real quick, I do. You mentioned there being bad runs sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
how exactly does that happen? Because, like, yeah, like I've definitely like played roguelikes where it's just like, oh, yeah, this is just not going to be a great run or whatever. Like, what makes a run bad in Clover Pit, and are there like what what makes it so like, oh, the trinkets aren't going to save this? I'm just dead.
So like a good example would be like a lot of it does come down to you because they want to scare you kind of out of
Of course.
re-rolling your shop, because it's like re-rolling the shop costs money, but you need your money to meet the deadline, right? So you're like, oh no, whatever. Um, but I would say the main thing is just the phone I mentioned. So every round you finish, every time they increase the amount of money you need,
Mhm.
um, you get a call on the phone, and it could be a good person or a bad person who's going to give you like a debuff that you can still leverage in your favor, but is usually probably like a devil's bargain. Like maybe there's something positive here, but it's going to also add a negative trait to something or something like that. But the good ones are just good.
Mhm.
But the good ones could also be counterintuitive to what you've built. So let's say in the first round in the shop, they have something like the cherry one I mentioned, right? Like, oh, it adds a 25% chance that you're going to get things on cherries.
Right.
Then the guy calls on the phone and goes, hey, do you want to increase how many lemons there are? And it'll be something like that. Like you'll get 3 options. I think you can increase that up to like 5, but it's like, hey, do you want to increase thing that isn't your build?
Mhm.
And if that happens like enough times in a row, you just sort of end up in a situation where you're like, I'm not getting any synergy. Like maybe you've started building because of what they've given you into a specific symbol, and then it just like gets fucked up by the phone, or vice versa. Maybe you go on the phone and you're like, all right, okay, yeah, let's do double treasure chest appearance or something like that. The on
Mhm.
the slot machine, that'll be good. And then everything in the shop is like, remove treasure chest from slot machine, remove this, like half value, and they're like, no. So that'll be like the bad ones, I think, because where it's just like it feels like you aren't able to establish a lot of synergy.
Okay.
But I do think like a good thing about it is you can save it. Like I said, like a lot of it is just you end up being like, oh, I probably should have just done this thing even if it was scary. Like things like spent all your tickets. The tickets are what you use to buy things. You get a certain amount of tickets for finishing a deadline, or you can gain other ways of, you know how econ works and those types of things.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like, oh, maybe I should have spent more of this. Oh, maybe I should have like stored this trinket away and then used it later or something like that. Or maybe I should have bought the temporary one just to get through this round. Like they have a bunch of temporary ones, which I think was something Balatro was really bad at, kind of, was they had those temporary jokers that you could like, what they had a rental system. I think they removed that.
Mhm.
But it was like, hey, like, oh, this is a joker that will you do something 9 times and then it stops
Right.
working entirely. In this game, they have those, but it'll be like you have to think about how good that actually is, because you are making money that you hold on to for the future money amounts. So it's like, sure, it only goes 9 times, but those 9 times are getting you a lot of money, like a lot of money that
Okay.
you're able to use in the future. So it's like, I think they fixed that issue from Balatro really nice. But it's like those little things can save you if you're like re-rolling the shop and you're like, oh, okay, I'll grab this real quick, or I'll whatever. There's one trinket that's like, for example, it's like a 20% chance you just get an extra spin, and that's crazy. Like
Oh yeah.
just take it every time, because it's like,
Why not?
yeah, like just holding on to that. Um, it's interesting. The thing I really like about the trinkets is they kind of said like hold it away or whatever. You get, as you win 4 runs in a row, I think for the first time, or you win like 4 increasing difficulty runs. You get a key to open a drawer behind you, and when you open the drawer, you can store trinkets in there beyond your trinket limit because you can only have a certain
Mm.
amount.
That's cute.
So it's
That's
like
cool.
this, yeah, it's this cool idea of like, oh, I'm going to like store grab this trinket because it's really good, but I can't fit it right now. But like it could be good for a build that I could make in the future. So I'm gonna just hide it over there in the corner for now or whatever. It's a fun little management system versus like I feel like most roguelikes are either like you have X amount of slots or you have infinite slots like Isaac, right? Like Isaac, you just keep picking up items. So it's like it does feel like you're sort of managing a deck, like Balatro, like I said. So it becomes interesting. Um, yeah, I didn't think I would like it as much. I really did. I don't usually like gambling style things, but it's it has a very funny vibe to it broadly. Um, and it's very easy to play because you press one button basically.
Sure. All right.
Yeah, pretty good.
Cool. All right.
Um,
You wanna wrap us up with your stuff?
yeah,
Cause yeah.
yeah. So also I played Silent Hill F, if which just came out. That's the newest Silent Hill game from Konami, and it's written by Ryukishi Seven, the guy who made
Yay!
Higurashi and Umineko. It
That's
also
right.
has the composers from Umineko.
Wow. Really?
Um, yeah.
I didn't know that one.
Um,
That's cool.
so what they yeah, so here's a cool thing they did. When you're so there's two aspects of the world, okay? There's a like old Japanese shrine style aesthetic world you go into that's very like supernaturally. And then there's the evil city you're in that's like classic Silent Hill overworld,
Mm.
going around. When you're in the Silent Hill overworld, the music is by Akira Yamaoka. When you're in the other world, it's the Umineko composers. Pretty good.
That's pretty cool. That's really
Um,
cool.
Yeah, it's a good bit. I would say they're more. I mean, I haven't gotten near to the end of the game where I imagine it starts going a little more crazy, but it's they've been fairly subdued comparison, but it's still pretty good. It's still like good ass music, especially
Mhm.
who can beat a Yamaoka guitar coming in Silent Hill style? Like it's like ooh. But yeah, Silent Hill F has been pretty cool so far. I know I'm only on route 1 of 4. I believe you're supposed to play it near style almost. where you get more context from playing through again, and they change puzzles and enemy locations and stuff you do or whatever.
Okay.
But I think I have the broad strokes of what they're going for here. It is, as a lot of people have said, very feminist angled game.
Sure.
It's specifically about the feminism movement in Japan in the 60s. Less the movement and more just like showcasing why they needed feminism movement, kind of.
Sure.
Um, it's a lot of like getting into specifically like I think this is a reoccurring work thing in Ryokishi's works where he really gets into, hey, look at like it is one thing to talk about like misogyny from the aspect of what men do to women
Mm.
and the constructs they create around women. It's another to talk about the constructs then causing women to treat other women badly, basically.
Okay.
And that's like I think what this game really gets into with the main character Hinako and her friends, her two friends. You get a lot of, you know, insight into like, hey, like there, you know, this main character is struggling with aspects of like being forced into traditional feminine roles and like expectations and what Japan in that period of time specifically thinks women should be doing uh versus her friend who's like the ideal would be to be a trad wife. This would be the ultimate dream. Like this would be the best thing ever. So I hate you for being mad about it. Or whatever, you know. It's it's really refreshing to see a game that is this high budget to be about that
Mm.
because it's like if you look at something like let's talk about Horizon, right? That's the
Right.
game that people point to. It has a woman as the main character, but it doesn't have anything to do with her being a woman or like there's not even anything in the game talking about like people not taking her seriously because of this or people engaging with like the idea of what misogyny would be in this new culture, all this stuff like that. Like, there's no analysis of that. It is just that, which is fine on its own. Don't get me
Mm.
wrong. That's totally fine to have the more normalized aspect. But it is more interesting to have, especially in Silent Hill, a series that is focused on the idea of examining trauma and social constructs that affect people to go in and be like, yeah, this is pretty fucked up, isn't it? It is fucked up, like what we're doing to what was done to these people and continues to be done. And I think that's like where the game really shines. Like you get these very detached, and I know it gets more opaque as the story goes on. Like you can understand more, but you get those subtleties of like, oh, I get what you're going for. Oh, I see what this represents in a way that isn't like as blatant as like here's Pyramid Head fucking a nurse puppet. You
Mm.
know, like it's a little more subdued. Um, I think like aesthetically it looks really good for the most part. I think my only problem with the aesthetics is that it is very much modern AAA video game of you're walking around a lot of very high fidelity, interesting environments that look cool. So they put a lot of invisible walls around so that you don't bump into the super high detailed thing that they would have to create a mesh for and all that. So it's very God of War 2018y in that sense of like, I'm around. Uh, Combat is also kind of like God of War 2018, honestly, which is insane. I think that's the only actual negative thing to the game that I think a lot of people have talked about. I don't mind it because it's very you just do it, which is kind of how Silent Hill combat has always been. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Not exactly the thing you go to that series for. Um, I don't think it's that much worse than the Silent Hill 2 remake, so I don't know why it's specifically getting a lot of flack. I think it's just because I think it's literally just because it was called a Souls like by an IGN person before it came out, probably entirely. Um, but the combat is I said I would say there could be maybe less of it, and that would be cool. But I don't mind it that much. It's definitely more annoying on the harder difficulties than it is if you're just playing on story. I don't like that they have story and hard as the difficulties. I think that's bad. I really don't like this new trend of saying story, um, and then having the normal difficulties afterwards because I think the problem with naming difficulties things that prevents people from engaging with it is literally the idea that they are becoming like they are alienating themselves in a sense, or like projecting like a sense of insecurity or something. You don't solve this by going, here's the hard mode, and then here's the story mode if you're just like reading, if you're just a little baby. I don't know. I think it's bad. I think we gotta revisit this. Like I think just story and action would be fine. I don't know. That's even that's better. I don't know. There's got to be a better way. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, since like the introduction of different tiered difficulties, there has been a kind of like pseudo machismo around it all,
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
there's so much ego tied up into it. Like it's so difficult to even have that conversation where
Hurt
if
me
you say
plenty.
like right,
Yeah.
right, like if you say I didn't care for Doom Eternal, like as an example, and then a person's like, I bet you didn't even clear it on ultraviolence, and it's like, what
Yeah.
difference does it make? I didn't enjoy
Yeah, because I didn't
myself.
like it. I didn't want to do that. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And
I
and again, it is this kind of thing where I don't think the people developing the games are independent of the culture they find themselves in. And even then, if they were, you still have production who will come down and try to enforce
yeah.
that kind of thing. So honestly, I feel like the funniest part about it when you say that, like especially with like story, is that I think a lot of people conflate accessibility with difficulty when
Absolutely.
they are two separate axes.
There was a article that I thought I would like recently. I think it was on IGN that talking about Silksong's issues with accessibility, and it was mainly going on the angle of like, hey, there's difficulty discourse, but like really what we need to do is make it easier. But then their ideas of like making the game more accessible were just adding more like trinkets you could equip that like were like, hey, you lose less HP or something, and I'm like, okay, what if we just had the Prince of Persia sliders though? Like that's actual accessibility stuff. Like we're talking timing window adjustment. We're talking like actual thing rebinding controls, stuff like that. I think those are like the things that you talk about like accessibility improving, right? Like
Hmm.
and then it just ends up constantly being conflated to how do you make the game accessible? Well, you give Dark Souls an easy mode and it's like, no, that's not
Yeah, no.
that's not the only way. You need to
I mean,
keep
also a lot of people have spectrums of what they can or are even able to tolerate. Like it doesn't matter how good you want to be at something. Like if you have like RSI or issues like that where you struggle to grip a controller, like I remember it was the funny discourse that happened around whether games should force you to mash on certain
oh yeah.
prompts. And then every game changed every prompt to like a hold prompt instead. And that causes problems for another demographic of
Mm-hmm.
hand injury. And that's not even accounting for people who need things like single-handed controllers or things like that. But then the conversation around accessibility almost entirely orbits able-bodied people who just can't finish the game because it's hard.
Yeah. That was the problem I had years ago with all the Dark Souls debating in like 2019 was it was just like you had a lot of able-bodied people using disabled people as a cudgel to basically complain about something, and it was like, no, like if you're going to do this, can you at least be like, hey, we should have controller rebinds, hey, we should have like the
Mhm.
ability to turn off these things.
Hey, maybe me having an accessibility tool on my computer shouldn't trigger your fucking anti-cheat.
That's the that's the big thing recently as we keep getting into the more and more insane anti-cheats is I'm like, oh my god, the amount of things that just get triggered by it that they think is like cheat engine, and it's like, no, it's a magnifier tool.
Hmm.
Okay.
You might cheat in Valorant if you can look at the screen more.
What?
If you're able to see with your eyes. Uh, I just I always got mad when people were like the solution is add in a god mode, right? It's just like that doesn't solve anything.
No.
And it's also like the thing that people will hand wave in that kind of capacity where people were like, if you don't want to engage with the game, just watch a let's play. And it's like you understand very intimately that interacting with a thing is very different than watching
Mhm.
it. Ya ignoramus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this game could definitely use some accessibility options, by the way. I think it could benefit from rebinding the controls. All it has is the classic Halo thing where it has like 3 or 4 settings, you can ping pong between that barely change anything.
It's also an issue even just on like a commercial end of things. Not everyone is using the same controller anymore.
Hmm.
Like if you have paddle controllers, if you have different formats where different button layouts are more or less comfortable, it should just be an inbuilt option.
Yeah.
It would be nice. I kept hoping that people would implement the thing that the Switch had that I thought was like not great, but still pretty decent, where you can just change all of the controls on a hardware level, which Steam does let you do to an extent, right? You have the Steam input stuff you can activate and
Hmm.
try to make things work, but these things should be supported by the games, especially because it's like Sony's not going to do that shit. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
They're, ugh. Um, but yeah, Silent Hill. It's Silent Hill. I don't. There's not even that much I can say about it. Really, it's Silent Hill, right? Like
They did it.
they made another one.
They did it.
They actually did it. I guess that should be the impressive angle. Is it's been 20 years and they did it again. It doesn't have any of the problems of Downpour. Um, the puzzles are the best part. I think we are literally so back to like Silent Hill 4 style stupid ass puzzle where they're telling you that the fox needs to get married to the rabbit at dawn and you need to place Henry away from them or he will eat all of the chrysanthemums. Like that is the type of stuff we are working with, and I
Sure.
really like it.
Eh,
Um
good.
it's it's just a good ass game. I don't know so far. I've been enjoying it. I do think like the combat is but like I said, I just played Silent Hill 3 recently and I was playing on hard, but when I played it, I was like constantly like I'm just dying to this boss in like one hit. That just happens sometimes. And then it's like this game is arguably better about it because there's like 30 types of consumable items or something. So it's like it is interesting. I actually think that's an interesting angle of the game actually is there are a lot of consumable items and they aren't just restore your health. They're like you have a sanity meter for bullet time and which when I say that sounds insane, but it's not that crazy. It's like hey, you can see in slow-mo a little bit to sort of dodge a little better,
I
parry.
mean, when I'm having a bad mental day, like I just kind of start Max Payne diving around instead of walking.
Yeah, she also does to her. I guess maybe she just really likes Max Payne. She does also pop pills as the default healing
Oh, of
item. She
course.
just starts eating them. Um, but there's that, and there's also just stamina, and you can get items that like restore your thing, and then just make your like sanity meter, which is the bullet time one, not go down, and then your stamina meter can become infinite for a little while if you use certain ones. So it's like you get to points where you're like, oh god, I'm out of healing, and then you're like, but I could use the infinite stamina thing right now, and then just go crazy.
Mhm.
Um, it's weird. It's a weird ass game in the gameplay sense, but like when it comes to being a Silent Hill game, it's hitting all the notes. So I'm pretty happy. I just found a note about a magic sword. They keep talking about Space Wars all the time, which
Hell
is
yeah.
I so early on they were talking about Space Wars and I was like, all right, that's cute. Like they were like, what? There's this journal. The journal in this game is really good because it all has hand drawn art inside of it of all of the characters and places or concepts you're writing about.
Cute.
So like all the enemies have like a sketch that's in like a unique style. It's not just a concept art thing. And they have like all the characters, whatever. Space Wars, she writes down in her fucking journal, like, oh, me and my friend Shu, we used to play Space Wars all the time, where we imagine that we fought the aliens. And then like you keep getting into the game, and like her friend who's mad at her just keeps being like, all you two fucking care about is your Space Wars, playing fucking Space Wars all day. And I'm like, they're still doing it? Wait, I thought this was like their childhood. Like, no, apparently every day they just play fucking Space Wars.
All this Silent Hill stuff is just getting in the way of them playing Space Wars.
That's what it feels.
We need to wrap this up. Come on.
We need to get the laser gun in the third playthrough or whatever.
Oh my god. Please.
So the whole plot is about her learning to let go of Space Wars, is what you're telling me.
She's being No, it's about her being forced by society to let go of
Give up Space Wars. No.
We all know it's her true calling is Space Wars.
Right.
She leaves Silent Hill and becomes the first esports professional.
I think she can make a difference out there. She can already backdash.
Yeah, she's got
do
it.
anything. I'm really happy because I didn't think they could make a good Silent Hill anymore. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I did not like that Silent Hill 2 remake very much. I thought all the stuff added was really bad.
I'm not
bad. Bad is too strong a word. It was really boring. It was really, really boring.
Not a big fan of Bloober Team.
Not a big fan of Bloober Team. I've been watching my girlfriend play Chronos the New Dawn, their new game recently. Also very boring. That's like, I think the overwhelming thing in their games is they're either doing something offensive or it's just sort of, yep, that's video game.
I'd rather them be boring than offensive, but it's still like a huge bummer
Yeah.
that is the option, you know?
At least them at least when they're offensive, you have some material to point at.
You have
and
something
say,
to talk
"This is
about."
offensive."
Yeah.
But when they're boring, it's just I mean, all you can do is shrug, and you're saying, well, at least they're not talking about how suicidal people are better off offing themselves in the plot of their game. What are you doing, Bloober Team?
They did that like 3 times.
Multiple times.
They did that multiple times.
I will say I think Bloober Team might be in the good world now because I think that they bled their main writer guy. I think he went on to make that game Stray Souls, which was very poorly received semi-recently, like a year or 2 ago. That was the guy who left after or during the Medium's development, who wrote most of the Medium, I believe. So based on how Chronos has been going, it feels very subdued in a way that I'm like, all right, maybe they're just in boring world now. I think they have good ideas sometimes, but then they deliver it in the most boring way. I think that's my biggest issue with them. Is it's like they could come up with
a lot of those kinds of games live or die based on you actually having something to say about anything. And unfortunately, you just kind of end up with, especially in horror writing, people who start at the messed up thing and work their way backward rather than having like a sociological or metaphysical horror that personally frightens them and then they construct a plot out of it.
Which Silent Hill F is definitely that. I think it's very clear to me from reading all of his works that Ryukishi is so scared of misogyny.
Bless him.
At least it's something, you know.
No, I think it's more than. I think like it's clear that it's something he's really invested in and interested in discussing. So it ends up coming across in that work. Versus Chronos and New Dawn, it's like I think there's an interesting idea here, but people keep saying it's like Dead Space. It's not like Dead Space. It isn't. In Dead Space, you use telekinesis to rip a guy's arm off and throw it at him.
You sure do.
Yeah.
Or if you oh my goodness, I can't even think of the name of the game anymore. Not Dead Space, PUBG.
Callisto Protocol.
You wiggle back and forth next to a poop man.
It's just the Callisto Protocol. I want my time back. That's like the only thing recently I've been like, I need my time back. Please. Please.
People still bring up your review from that because, yeah, like the first paragraph is you just being like, hey, you know, I like Atelier games. Why don't I play an Atelier game instead of this shit?
I've been playing that. What am I doing?
Yeah. Alright, let's do the rest of the news, unless you want to talk about Nightreign. I don't know, You wanna?
No,
Or...
I can do that in 5 seconds. Nightreign updated, added a scary mode that's hard. It's cool. I'm appreciating that they added a scary mode that's hard with some new mechanics.
Good. Glad to hear it.
It's a fun game. I like it a lot more than Elden Ring.
All right. Good to hear.
If anything, that more sells me on potentially trying Nightreign because I did not enjoy Elden Ring at all.
I really do not like Elden Ring. I tried to give it another shot with the DLC, still did not like it. In this game, you don't take any fall damage and you jump 5,000 feet into the air and run around really fast.
Like
So
the funny thing was is when I tried to do I did the exact same thing where I was like, okay, let me give the game one final shake. And then I got like a quarter. Yeah, we'll say a quarter of the way of the bases games like material, and I just went, I think I might hate this game, actually.
it's very at odds with, I would say that we have different tastes in some senses, but we have similar tastes in others, and I would say it's very much against the type of things that we enjoy in games.
Yeah, I mean, like I have a few bespoke things that like Elden Ring explicitly rankles in me, but the thing that like really got pointed out to me is that I like being the one to set and define the pace of engagements. The bosses and the enemies in Elden Ring are the pace setters for basically everything. And if you are not willing to capitulate to that, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. And before someone tells me that there's like a very specific build that I could do that allows me to do, no, I don't care.
I mean, it's just what I was saying before with Silksong to Hollow Knight. It's like seeing slow motion, watching Elden Ring play versus watching Dark Souls 1 being played. It's
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh.
Anyway, the news.
More news! Yay! So, a lot of rough stuff going on. First off, some smaller scale things going on here. Starbreeze, the folks that are behind the Payday games, were supposedly making a D&D game, Dungeons and Dragons game, and they are no longer doing that, and they laid off 44 people from their staff because of that, because they just are going to keep working on Payday. Um,
Did you talk about the Payday 2 stuff last week? That was insane,
the
by the
2
way.
stuff? I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything about that, no.
Okay. So Payday 3 has obviously been not doing well. You probably
Yeah,
know that
I know that much.
roughly. That Okay, so Payday 2 has continued to do well in spite of that, despite being really old. They did this insane thing recently where they introduced a new subscription model for Payday 2, where you pay $5 a month and you gain access to all the Payday 2 DLC. When they did this, they increased the price of all the Payday 2 DLC by $50. Um, so it now costs 100 and something dollars, I believe, to buy Payday 2 DLC. 13-year-old video game, by the way. Um, really interesting stuff going on over there, I would say.
That's bad. Because I just knew that Payday 3 was doing poorly. They removed their CEO last year. They laid off 15% of their workforce late last year. They had a new CEO in March, and now they're laying off more people to cancel their D&D game.
Which I don't know if that's the decision to make. I'm going to be honest. I think D&D is doing hotcakes right now. I don't think Payday 3 is ever going to recover in the
Yeah.
same way. I think Payday 3, for all of its other issues that it has, its core issue was the thing that scared them out of making WoW 2, kind of like, hey, we have this game that has like 7 billion hours of things to do in it, and then we're going to ask people to start over with none, right?
Hmm.
Like, that's just how it works. So it's like, I imagine that was the fear with Payday 3 to an extent, and then they just went ahead and did it very badly,
Hmm.
and then they're eating it now. But it's like, I don't know if the solution is double down on Payday 2 with a subscription model. and cancel your Dungeons and Dragons game.
Yeah,
Very odd.
I feel like the answer is make Payday 3 good and make a new game that's also
Or
good.
just make a new game,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, like just pivot away. Just go, all right, we're done. Bye.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
sure.
I feel like that's a big issue with a lot of grind-centric games. And I'll use an example that, you and I, at the very least, can relate to, Rose. If they announced a successor to, like, Final Fantasy 14, like, next year, obviously they're not going to do that because they have, like, a whole plot and everything that they're working on. There would be a fundamental resistance to that because of, like, the kind of investiture that people have in owning digital stuff. Like being like, okay, my character won't transfer all of my cosmetics and stuff and all the things I fought for, all my accolades, I'd have to essentially start over. It's like the same kind of thing where like something like Destiny 2 isn't going to exactly immediately announce Destiny 3 provided the infrastructure is still stable. And it's why it seems like a relatively strange decision to have a game where you're kind of vacillating between supporting the old thing and the new thing while actively making the thing that people still actually play look unattractive on purpose. Maybe I can't specifically say, given how brazen it is that they were doing that with the DLC.
Hmm. Rough time, and of course our thoughts go out to those who lost their or losing their jobs here. Mess. Just a mess. Speaking of big bad messes, last week we talked about how there were some there was some bubblings going on of EA getting basically like reverse bought out, like getting a like a buyout to go private. And that is seemingly going through now. It is basically just like the villains of the stories, the past couple of stories are all like teaming up to get EA to go private, because it's like JP Morgan, and there's like Saudi Arabia is throwing money in, and Jared Kushner, who is Trump's son-in-law, is like his like company is throwing in a bunch of money to this to get EA to be private. And it's going to cost $55 billion, which makes it the largest buyout, I think, of all time now, or something like that. Yeah. But 20 billion of this money, I guess the stuff from JP Morgan here, is a debt commitment that is going to be shifted over to EA itself. So basically, they bought themselves out to, or these companies bought out EA, and then they just shifted a bunch of money onto it. So, and apparently the loan is rated as a very like poor loan, where like the regulatory groups are just like, yeah, there's no way this is going to get paid back. We're going to be charging a shit ton of interest on this. Yeah, they're EA is going to be slimming down quite a bit. They are going to absolutely like fire a shit ton of people now. They are going to only be making the safest possible bets because they need to make a shit ton of money to pay off all these loans now. And I mean, there's probably like Aeon is saying in the chat, yeah, they're getting Toys R Us. Like there is probably a very good chance in the next 5 years that EA just shuts down because yeah, they don't have the money. And this is just how every single business in America is. Like this is just everything now. And like we've been talking about this like privately and all that, about how like I don't like, we don't think it's like Like, obviously, it's bad for people's jobs that they are losing jobs.
Yeah.
But, like, for the culture, I don't think we're losing too much if EA goes away. But it's more just like, this is just how everything is now. It's just a bunch of fake money getting thrown around so rich people can get richer, destroying companies in their wake, and nothing is just going to exist any after a while because it's all fake.
I just like I won't blame too much of this on individuals or anything, but it is like this is what happens when nobody thinks that anything should meaningfully be done about the EA CEO pay rise like every year from 2004 on, of
Mm.
just like tripling every year no matter how much it is.
Mhm.
Like what the most recent one was, like he literally like just signed a little paper that was like, I get $50 million, and they were like, sure, whatever, at the shareholders meeting. Like it's just like for years and years just watching all the news articles constantly come out like, hey, look how insane the prices are going up for like the executive suite of EA, like how much money they take while they lay off people. And then like a bunch of people in the game industry just decided that wasn't something that should be fought against because they could be them one day, right? They could one day they could be the EA executive who's making $40 billion a year.
Well, I mean, isn't that the logic behind a lot of like the worst traits of capitalism, where
Yes.
everyone acts as if they're just
Yeah.
temporarily embarrassed?
Yep, it's just a temporary thing before I get my next big day, and I'll be just like them, and I'll have 7 houses.
And I mean, again, I think in a major way that EA has kind of become like an anthropological evil in gaming, where it was like the butt of jokes for years about how EA was like the worst company ever and stuff like that, when obviously there are much more materially evil companies that exist on this earth. But I think like, yeah, you're right in the sense that it won't be like an immense cultural loss. And it sucks that this is exactly how every corporation works now, where I mean, it relates back to like the Microsoft news. At this point, because they are slowly having to contend with the fact that you can't generate infinite income, the way that competitors deal with such problems is by buying the competition and then forcing them to not exist, because effectively every competitor sale is mutually exclusive with your sales, even if you aren't technically speaking in the same industry.
And that's been EA's MO since the 90s. Like from the get-go, that has always been their thing of buying up competitors and like destroying them. Like I mean, Origin is the greatest example in the 2000s. They just buy Origin, destroy them, use their name as some sort of vestige of legacy in the PC scene for a hot minute, and then just destroy that too. Like they killed all of BioWare. This was the main thing I think I was getting kind of blown away by with the discussions around EA, was people kept saying like, "Well, that's it for BioWare," and I'm like, "Where have you been?"
Yeah,
That
what?
was like 2014.
Yeah.
That was it? Like because it's EA. Like I don't. Yes, it
But
is a bummer that maybe these IPs will be. I mean, realistically, they're just going to be sold off. Like realistically, that's just what's going to happen, and
Yeah.
maybe it will be end up being something fine. But I can't get into the mindset of someone who thought modern BioWare, modern EA was going to publish a really good Mass Effect game.
I
Like,
mean, the other factor here is that the average, I'll use the word American here because American in the general sense applies to the particularities of this problem. A lot of Americans have been habituated to the franchisation of stuff, where people can't imagine new product existing
yeah,
without it being affiliated with a previously existing name.
Mhm.
And even when we see the material reality is that people are getting franchise fatigued, the people who are the least invested and the people with the strongest voices and the biggest like bodies are the kinds of people that think that franchises sell, when in reality, if you got all of the best BioWare writers together and said, make a new science fiction franchise or make a single game, that will probably be echelons better than just enslaving yourself to the name Mass Effect. We've already seen what happens when you take Prey and then make Prey but not Prey. It clearly doesn't matter.
Yeah. Chrono Trigger is the one I always think of as a great example of just like, I know it was at the same company, but it's like those are people, like those are all of the JRPG people, and they come together and they make a new IP, and then everyone's like, "This is the best game ever," and it's like that could happen all the time.
Well,
It
again,
could,
it's people that make games. If I was inexplicably given the license to make a Mass Effect game, just because I'm wielding the title doesn't instantly make it a good game.
Yeah. I mean, we got
I think
Andromeda to
that,
show that, and 3.
yeah, I was gonna and 3, like, I was just like thinking like. I saw some people being like, "Oh, Dragon Age is really done for now," and I'm like,
It's
"I played
been.
Veilguard. It was. Did you see this? The part where Veilguard was in development for 8 years and they canceled it 4 times."
Like, I think at this point, gamers, and I don't mean to insult like what is ostensibly my own audience here. Gamers, listen. You have been collectively weekend at Bernie's with so many game franchises that have been dead 4 iterations now. The dream is gone for some of these things. You just need to accept that the people that made the thing with the same name is not the same guy.
Yeah.
The Santa Claus at the mall is not the same Santa at every mall. I'm sorry, I just need to tell you this.
He just runs really fast. I don't know what to tell you. But I believe.
So,
I mean, Santa is real though.
Yeah. But the guys at the mall are just,
they're just trained.
They're his disciples.
yes, training
Yeah,
to
exactly.
take his
They're his
place.
shadow beasts.
Shadow beasts?
Have you ever seen
No,
Hunter x Hunter?
listen.
No.
Technically, if we know a little bit about folklore, we can say that the servants of Santa Claus are technically called bar guests.
That's true.
Santa Claus runs like evil shadow organization. You have to fight like 8 of them throughout the game. They have different personalities. They're all really goofy characters. They all carry out his will.
So I just got a great idea for a new game jam.
It's called The Disciples of Santa.
Santa
The
Claus.
Disciples of Claus. Sorry, The Disciples of Claus.
We gotta take down the evil shadow Santa syndicate.
Boy.
You can do anything you want for the game as long as you fight off Santa's organization 13.
Oh boy.
But yeah, one more note on EA. If you ever want to like understand fully why the destruction of EA would be good for everyone, just look up what they do with Football Club 25. Just go look up what the ultimate football situation is. It is
Unfortunately, I will say I think if everything is stripped from
Oh, it
EA,
will get yeah.
that's what's going to survive.
Well, I mean, I'm still curious to see what FIFA ends up doing since they pulled out from EA. They are insane in their own way. Okay, to be clear, FIFA is one of the most insane organizations in the world. But I am curious to see if we end up getting something because there was a college football game for the first time ever recently.
I think that was
Madden.
also EA though.
That was EA.
I think so, yeah.
So it's like
but
I don't know what's going on. I don't know if that'll continue.
I
If this goes through.
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw, I think nobody bought the new college football game, so I think there's not going to be another one, even though people have been asking for it for ages. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that per se, but like, yeah, I like the reason why this is happening is just because Saudi Arabia wants more, esports control, and to they want to get in on FC because the soccer's big over there, and that's totally what it is. But we do have some good news. don't worry, everybody. There's some good news here. We have the folks at the workers of Studio Zaum who have been through the ringer. Well, they have unionized. Specifically the yeah, it's just a subset of them. They have the Zaum Workers Alliance. Trying to see exactly. Yeah, they're up to 90 members now, and all the folks there are in the union. They are represented by Independent Workers Union of Great Britain. And it's only for their UK branch, but they wished that they are allowing folks from other arms of Zaum to contribute to the conversation as well. They're not barring anybody from, you know, speaking up about things. But I mean, I think it's just kind of crazy that, you know, this company that is such like has been split so much and has such a messy history is, you know, I mean, it's good, but it's just kind of crazy. It's like, all right, yeah, these folks are unionized now. That's great, but also I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that entire company, you know, like they announced their
It's very weird.
They showed that new game, that Zero Parades for Dead Spies, which I mean, looks very Disco Elysium visually, but I don't know. Like that whole situation is such a mess. I don't know if I want to touch that.
It's really weird because it is like this is at this stage it is like these are completely different people. Like I don't even know like how do you even approach it, right? Like it's not like a Disco Elysium 2 would be one thing where it's like given the context, but it's like if it really is just its own thing, it's like I don't know how to even feel about it because it's like these are unique individual creatives. It is their work that they are
Hmm.
working on. I don't know how to feel about it like at all. It's very
Yeah,
bizarre.
like I'm not gonna hold like the people who made Disco Elysium to this exact perfect like nobody can ever do something like that ever again. You know, like of course it's not gonna be exactly like that, but I'm sure that's like there are an infinite number of video games that can exist, and someone's going to make something as good as Disco. Like, you know, you know, we don't have to have those people get together to make another good video game. You know, like people are gonna keep making good video games. It's like in this specific instance, like the name of Studio Zaum, it's like the people that were a part of that are not a part of that really anymore for the most part. And I mean, some the people that are there now, there's a chance they'll make something good, but it's just, you know, it's basically just like a new group of people that are not proven, and they're just using that name, and you know, it looks kind of like Disco Elysium, but who fucking knows at this point. So
And then it's also like, will their work just be exploited and then taken from them when it's done? Because the same people are, I believe, the same people are in charge of that company from a
mhm.
money level,
Mm.
and it's just like I don't. What
I mean,
what's going
they're
on here?
unionized, which is great, but also like it's kind of like they're, you know, forming a coalition against the evil ass shithead society, you know, like I don't know.
Yeah, but again, mainly good from an angle of it will inspire other people to believe something is possible,
Yeah.
which is always the good thing about this stuff.
Mhm. And one other bit of good news, Brazil's president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, signed a new law about protecting children in digital environments, which I'm certain does not, you know, cover all kinds of good stuff.
Everything we'd want it to, yeah.
Yes, knowing how those things have been going lately across the world. But there was one good aspect of it, is that they did bar the sale of loot boxes to children or and adolescents. I would say. It comes into effect March 2026. And once that hits, they cannot sell loot boxes to players under the age of 18. The law requires that user-to-user interaction features such as voice chat or user content sharing that are aimed at or likely to be assessed by children and adolescents must comply with certain safeguards. We'll see what those are.
Was saying that they need to have basically a customer support feature that engages with things so that they can actually moderate and control the content and know that like feedback for, you know, things like child abuse, which I think is Roblox is the big thing that people always point to with this stuff of always having not enough tools for dealing with it. I think it's trying to approach a more important angle with that. Yeah.
There are definitely, you know, I do think that there should be more safeguards to protect children online, but you know, just collecting everyone's data and shoving it in on a server that will immediately get hacked, like what happened to Discord. That's not how you do it. Not how that works.
I think an interesting thing with this is this it's a thing that doesn't work very well, all things considered, in like the broader scheme. But it is interesting that you have to put the I believe the 18 and up rating on any game that has loot boxes now.
Mm-hmm.
I think is what this law says, because Brazil has its own classification system for things, obviously, which is at least a, you know, that's something.
All right. Oh, go ahead.
Something is better than nothing.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah, we'll see.
Most of the time.
We'll see, because sometimes that something is just bad. But again, I think that barring the sale of loot boxes to children is just.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up real quick. Yeah, that is true. They did get Bolsonaro. That is true.
They did also.
Yeah, we will give them. We'll give them credit for that, and we will also do the Squidward meme to them as well. We're gonna be looking out the window at that because. All right. So let's wrap this up with the questions here. We got one question. If you want to send in a question, you go to podcast at gamesline.net on your email client of choice. We also have our Ask Questions channel in the Discord server. And, you know, just get it to us however you feel like. You know, if we see it, we'll answer it. Just like this question from Gue on the Discord, who says, achievement-focused play and the completionist approach to games have been a common on and off topic in gaming circles. And I've begun to see them again in discussions around Silksong being a Metroidvania. When do you feel that you are finished with a game? How does that compare to your level of enjoyment alongside the measurable percentile completion of a game? I can go first if y'all want to think about it. So it varies for me. You know, like I think the important thing is in order to have a healthy relationship with gaming, you just have to sit down and be like, okay, this is what I want out of this game. And when I reach a point where I am no longer getting that, I can move on. I think that is what you should do with each individual game. If you sit down and you look at if you look at Silksong and you're like, I like this game enough, I'm playing this game, I want to 100% it, then do it. But there's also maybe a point where you're at like 90% completion and you're just like, I don't want to do this. You know, I don't want to get this last couple percent because I just don't want to. I don't fucking care. That's fine. You know, you don't have to prove it to anybody. You don't have to be like, oh man, I didn't get the perfect 100%. Because, like, when I played Symphony of the Night, I got to like because what, it goes up to like 102.8 or some shit, like it gets to some like weird percentage because of or 200 and something, because of the inverted castle and all that. I think I got to like 199 or something, and I was just like, I don't need to sit here and bash my head against all these rooms to find like the one little area that I didn't find. Who gives a shit? It's fine, whatever. Just until you stop having fun, you know. But it's just it's good to have like an outline too. But and then when it's not a Metroidvania, when there's not a percentage, because like achievements will often be a good guide for that too. Because like I got almost all the achievements in Final Fantasy 13 because I wanted to see what that game had to offer, and following all those achievements was a way to go through that game and experience all the different mechanics and all the ways that you can interact with that game and everything. So that was a good outline. But then there was like an achievement that was like fill up everybody's the grid, the whatever the fuck it is. I don't remember what that was called, like the sphere grid thing that they have in that game. And I was just like, I don't want to do that because I would just have to grind for another like 5 hours. I could do it so I can get that achievement, but I didn't want to. So, I did it until I felt satisfied. It's just your own personal satisfaction. I think that is what matters the most, is just I've gotten what I want to get out of this game. I am done. Moving on.
I think leapfrogging off of that, I think it is a very important soft skill, not just necessarily in gaming, but like in life as a whole, to be capable to set your own goals aside from satiety.
Hmm.
And I'll use fighting games as an example. It is really easy to feel bad with fighting games especially when you're playing multiplayer, because I think most people set the subconscious vague goal of I want to win. And I want to win is a really nebulously abstract goal that is also simultaneously really easy to fail at. And when you set your goal as vaguely, I want to win, it's really easy for your forward momentum to continue playing to essentially be stolen out from under you by someone else.
Mm.
And that applies also to single player games. Like I myself, I consider myself the kind of person that wants to generally meet a game where it's at, and a lot of the time I will unintentionally, and this is a flaw of mine, enable the game to take my agency away, and I associate the completion of it with achieving or receiving its message. And I think it's really important to be able to identify what you are even getting out of this in the first place, to be a means to see if an experience is even for you in the first place. Because without that, and like using completion as your metric for whether or not you're done or not, can leave you in situations where, well, you achieve slog.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you hit a point in a game where you just kind of go, I'm over this, you should accept passively that that is your permission to stop. Like, again, same principle even just with eating food. If you have stuff still on your plate and you're starting to feel nauseous, you have my permission to stop eating, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I think to actually engage with more with the question itself, I'll just say I think it's a very good thing to completely separate your satisfaction with a game from how much you are done with it.
you mentioned it earlier, and I mean it's kind of the inverse of it, but like you saying that you didn't like Doom Eternal, and it's like, if you played a few hours of Doom Eternal and said you didn't like it, that's just as valid an opinion as if you had beaten it completely, because it's just like you didn't like it. Like what?
So
It's
so John,
fine. Yeah.
so remember when I said that I'm really bad at doing it with myself, and I've beaten Doom Eternal 3 times.
Look, I'm not saying that is actually what you did. I'm saying that like that's it. I'm just using it as like an example because like it like you from what I know of how you interact with media and how just the way like you want to see the best out of Doom, you like we want to see Doom guy win. But
Mhm.
that game was frustrating and a little bad at some aspects. Even though I think I liked it more than a lot of other people, I also completely understand where you came from. And no, I yeah, I get it. But like I got to like Hyrule Castle in Breath of the Wild, and then I was like, I'm done with this. I'm just gonna stop playing this because I don't care about what happens after
You made
this.
you made the right decision. It's the worst Ganondorf they've ever made in their life.
There's another weird aspect with that, especially when you consider like this new genre of the infinite game
Mhm.
where it doesn't naturally give you points of satiety that happen, where it's like, take something like Skyrim. I think a lot of people's end point of a game like Skyrim is not a conclusion, but just the point where they got distracted with something else and then suddenly realized, huh, I haven't opened Skyrim in like 8 months. I should like delete that off my hard drive.
Yeah, you're done.
Or like Vampire Survivors or whatever, where you just kind of get over it, I guess.
And also, you could just come back to it. You know,
Mhm.
fine.
You can do whatever you want forever, as long as it doesn't hurt yourself or others.
Nicholas, do you have anything that you'd like to add about this?
Okay, so I will piss my friends off a lot because I have a very detached view of how much I force myself to engage with games. Like, okay, for the sake of this like statement, I'm gonna do a bad thing here. I'm gonna ignore the basic fundamental sentiment that I do believe in, that like games are a deeper form of art. For this sake, I'm gonna go off of the fact of like fun. I'm gonna go off of fun value because my view of games that are fun and games that are something I connect with artistically are very, very different. If I connect with a game artistically, I will no life it for like a week, but like that's its own entire like that is its own set thing. Like I no life Umineko in one go, which probably an objectively bad decision because that's Umineko. That's like over 100 hours. I was like just sitting in my room for a week plus reading that and doing nothing else. But like whenever I'm viewing something in that sort of artistic way, there's obviously this intended set endpoint of you finish it and you think about it and you come to that understanding of it. Like if I'm viewing a game in that way, that's its own like viewpoint I have. It's a story. I'm here to read and experience the story. When I'm done with that story, that is when I'm satisfied. And then if it's a large scale game, I might go through it a little bit more, do additional stuff, yada yada yada. But the like that's a very basic traditional view of continuing through with a game. But when I'm not invested in a game in that deeper way, and it's like, all right, I'm playing a Balatro, let's see what we can get up to this time. I have to judge my own sense of connection with a game that does not have its own very directly intended. Okay, this is the essentially minimum expectation what we want you to do. I have absolutely no connection to sticking with that sort of game. And like, if I'm not enjoying something, I will back out immediately. I got like insanely pissed off at the original Gen 1 of Pokemon. I backed out after like 2.5 hours. I did not go back. I was not enjoying it. I didn't have to justify anything to myself. I'm just not gonna do it because this isn't something I connect with artistically. This is for me right now. I'm doing this to have fun, and I'm not having fun, so I shouldn't do it. I have no like I don't need to prove anything to myself. That's not what art exists for, like in this manner. Games don't exist for me to be like, yes, I did it. I've completed this arbitrary metric set by other people culturally. I have won at engagement with this concept. That's not how it works. Like when art exists, I feel like an asshole for saying I'm going to disconnect games from art and then I'm using art as a shorthand term for this. But it's like when things like this exist, they're meant for you to experience them at your own discretion. And so, if I'm not enjoying how I'm experiencing something at my own discretion, I will immediately just say I'm done with the game and then back out. This is a very long rounded way to say I have a lot of difficulty like connecting with games that have more open ending points or even just have the appearance of having more open ending points. Like the only roguelike I have been able to stick with for any amount of time out of all of them is Isaac, because that one has the very obvious just completion marks and each one unlocks something set up.
Yeah.
And then that one just like that's a very solid point of okay, just get all of these and you've like 100% of the game. Got it. And other games in that genre can also have that, but the fact that it's so defined in Isaac is like the only reason I was able to connect with it. Whereas in something like a Balatro, I can go, I know that there's like stuff to unlock, but I don't care about that. I have experienced what this game is, and I don't really want to get to any endpoint with this because, like, even if I don't enjoy Isaac at points, it's like, okay, I can just sit on this and come back later if I'm like in the mood to continue towards this endpoint and I'm feeling better. But I
Hmm.
don't really get that feeling at all with Balatro. It's like, all right, this is a game meant to waste time with repeatedly. It's why I can't connect to like open world games on a large scale. It's like I don't know. I want to experience something specific and set out, and these games don't do anything for me in that regard. Even if it's not actually like that super open, actual like I guess to put it in quotes, I guess true open world where you can just go and do whatever. It's like I tried Xenoblade X like weeks and weeks back. I haven't played it again since like the second session because like that's just so overwhelmingly large visually and like with how it presents itself. That's like even if there's a linear game there and like it just lives in an open world because that's the kind of game they wanted. It like feels designed like I don't know. It's hard to get on board with that kind of scope of game because I don't know. It's so easy for me to fall out of it. Like I don't know the best way to describe it. Where it's I am very non-committal to the end point of what I have to reach with a game, and I will back out when I do not like it. But that lack of commitment also, like knowing that I will have that lack of commitment, also makes it a bit harder to connect initially to games where I know I will hit that backing out point because it's like I'm not going to commit to the lot, bro. This is a game that I play when I'm bored and should be doing work. And I should just delete this off of my hard drive so I can be doing work. It's like,
But it's fun, so it's fine. I
well,
mean,
I
you should
could
do your
if
work.
I
But
if I want to play a game for fun, I could play a game with a story. Like I can
I mean,
tell you
don't
right
force
now.
yourself. You know, like not everything has to be um, you know, like all work and no play and all that. Just it doesn't all have to be structured. Get
No, I
something out
think
of luck.
I think I get more out of structure though. I get more out of experiencing a story with intent and decision and ideas behind it than here is a roguelike where you can make your own deck, have fun, or like if I opened up like whatever Nubby's Number Factory right now, since I have that installed on my computer for some reason, I feel like after half an hour I would just feel guilty and be like, okay, I need to go buy Trails second chapter on Steam so I can like be having fun and also be like experiencing something of value instead of okay, this guy made Baldi's Basics Pachinko to make people to get on Northern Lion streams. I like this means nothing to me. I'm not gonna get anything out of it.
Yeah, it's just different video game brains. It's the same way whenever I see my friend who loves builds more than anything in the world play all the build stuff, I'm like, that is no, no, no. But it's like, it's fulfilling for them. So I'm like, you're getting the same hit that I would get out of other game. It's just some people have numbers brain that they can tap into, and then they love seeing the number go up.
That's why I like RPGs. My numbers brain like seeing the number go up in the RPG when I customize my character. Why would I want 5 billion damage in Balatro when I can go do like the cyber grind in Disgaea 2 and see my guy do 5 billion damage to a penguin?
No, that's what you want. You get out of it.
Yeah.
It's numbers. Like that is probably the closest thing to a forever game that I could play, and even then I had to like force myself to not play it because like I don't like forever games. I do not. It is an idea that I am just directly opposed to.
Yeah.
If something looks like a forever game to me, I will just back out. That's why I don't play games on my phone because so many of them are designed to be that because they are just the thing you have on your phone.
Any other
Very
thoughts about?
short version. Very short version of what I'm trying to say, I guess, is if a game is not intended as one with a very specific end commitment point, my commitment point is nothing. There is no commitment I will make by default. I am fine to back out at any time. But I don't like games like that. I like games where I got to go through a story. I'm an RPG brain guy, I guess.
Fine.
That's the thesis of everything I say as a person. I think I like RPGs. Everything comes back around to that.
Anyone else have anything they want to add on to this one, or?
Yeah, I didn't say anything.
Oh,
So
please, then yes.
no,
I'm sorry.
it's fine.
Yes.
I don't have much to say anyway that you haven't heard a million times, right? I love my achievements, but I think broadly I am not, despite how it may seem, I'm not the type to be like force myself to get a bunch of achievements. I think I have to like the game or at least enjoy playing it. Like a good example, I have the platinum in Stellar Blade. I don't like Stellar Blade very much, but it was fun to play and do, and it wasn't that hard. So I was like, sure, I'll go through again, see how it goes. But I think my core problem in games that I run into is I always want to believe that they'll be good when I go into them. And I like want to, see them give the benefit of the doubt. So I'll start doing like all the completionist stuff to try to see everything along the way and stuff like that. Final Fantasy 16 is a good example of this. And then when I get to the end, if it's like, oh, I didn't like that, I'll be like, all right, bye. Wu Chang is a great recent example where
Yeah.
I liked Wu Chang early on and I was doing a bunch of stuff in it. And then like I got to the end of that game and I was like, not very good. I don't think like I could replay it again to get all the achievements to do this thing, but I don't like it. It
Yeah. Do
made
you
me
have to? No.
bummed. Yeah, so I don't have to. So I really only do it if I like a game. I think that's like really what it comes down to is it's like I will go crazy and sometimes I will do things that I don't even like that much if I like the game. Like if it's an aspect of a game I like but the aspect is bad, I might still engage with it just because it's a game I like. Like Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth's a great example of that of I did like everything in that game. Some of that stuff was bad. It was not very good, but it was sort of like the Isaac thing of knowing when you're finished something. It's the same thing. All open world games are this, right? Of just like the check marks. You got to check off the mark, and it's like it is intoxicating to be like I did check off all the marks. It is like
It's sometimes it's really nice to check off all those marks, but
yeah. Like I'm gonna fucking I'm sorry in advance. I'm going to play Ghost of Yote soon, and then I'm probably gonna do that in that, even if I don't like it very much, because it's just like that. It's probably very easy and intoxicating to do. So it is. I understand how people get like tricked into doing these systems, though. Is the thing, right? Like that's a lot of the things that happens with these achievement discussions of people being just like, oh my gosh, I have to do X, Y, Z or whatever, even if I don't like it. Um, I think it's especially insidious. We talked earlier about those, you know, someone getting a new Final Fantasy. If they made Final Fantasy 17 and it was an MMO, right? All of a sudden, people would be like, "No, all my stuff." And I think that's the core thing that gets people with a lot of these games is this idea of building up all your stuff. Is like, oh, I want to build up all my stuff, and that creates these forever games, like Nicholas was talking about. That's just like, oh, I don't it makes it harder for everyone to like engage with games on the terms that they want to, because like these systems are designed to be a forever game, right? They want you to just keep coming back over and over again. These live service stuff, Destiny, is the most like, hey, we reset all your guns, don't you want new gun that's like your old gun? It's I think you just really have to figure out when you're not having fun with something and then
Yeah.
just disconnect. Like that really is the number one key. Like I know plenty of people who like I knew someone who recently who Silksong has 3 endings you can get. It has like a kind of bad ending, it has a normal ending, and it has a true ending. Hollow Knight I think was the same way. And it's like I've seen plenty of people get the normal ending that doesn't require, 100% or whatever, and just be like, all right, I had my fun. That was good enough. And I think that's totally fine. Like if we want to make arguments for, the YouTube watching YouTube videos straight up unironically, like people should do that more. I think people should just be willing to be like, hey, I didn't need to see the extra cutscene that's unlocked by me doing insane super hard thing that I didn't like. I could just watch it on YouTube.
But also, if you want to do that, go for it.
If you want to do it, go for it. Have fun, and don't worry about it taking you a while or any other thing else like that. Just make sure you're having fun with it. Make sure you're not
Your
forcing
game.
yourself. Because I do know with Silksong, I have seen people who don't like that type of game forcing themselves to be involved with the FOMO zeitgeist conversation, and it's like, don't do it. Make sure you're
And that
having
was
fun.
that was me basically. I mean, I booted up Silksong, and no offense to the Silksong enjoyers, it just didn't offer what I wanted at the
Yeah,
moment.
no, I think that's completely normal. I was the same thing when Hollow Knight came out. That's why I was kind of surprised. I think like, I mean, it makes sense. Like the conversation, everyone wants to be a part of a conversation, but it's like Hollow Knight was a very divisive game, even though it is very beloved. Like it is still a game that people complain about, the map, the physics being knocked back, stuff like that, the end game platforming section. And it's like they made another one, and the prevailing notion was it is very much another one. And then those same people were like, well, maybe I'll like it this time. And it's like, like maybe it's entirely possible. Like go
Could
for it,
be.
but like don't don't force yourself. There's no reason to force yourself to engage with something just for the sake of being involved in the conversation and completing it, saying you have completed it. I think backlog brain is the most toxic thing in the world you can get into, and I'm guilty of being in it very very often.
There was an article that released uh during lockdown that I really really liked, that I think was from PC Gamer. I could be wrong. But essentially the article boiled down to talking about killing the part of your brain that tells you to treat backlogs like homework, because again, a lot of what makes you want to play these games is the inherent like excitement impression. And if the excitement's not there, you don't have to fake it in order to force yourself to play something so that you let me say something that's a slight aside. If you're my friend and I'm going to talk to you regularly, you are going to hear about the things that I am interested in, and you don't get a say in the matter. We don't need to have played the same thing to have that conversation.
All right. You think we encompassed that question? Because I think we nailed it. I think we got it. But
Yeah. Cool.
yeah. thank you everybody for hanging out. Thank you for listening, and thank you for sending in a question. Again, if you want to send in a question, please, it's podcast@gamesline.net. Or you can hop in our Discord. You can go. It's you type in thegamezone.zone. Or did I say something? It's podcast@gamesline.net. Yeah, the email. Or you can go to thegamezone.zone, our Discord server, and we have a thread on there. You can send questions there. And thank you again. Yeah, we are Gamesline. Our website is gamesline.net. Our Blue Sky account is gamesline.net. Those are the places, the best places to find us. We also have our Tumblr, gamesline.tumblr.com. Don't send questions on that because it gets eaten really easily. So, FYI. Our YouTube channel, which you might be watching this on YouTube right now, youtube.com/@thegamesline. That's where our VODs go. And you might also be watching us on Twitch right now, twitch.tv/GameslineTV, where we stream every week a new episode of the podcast. Where it's Sunday at 6 p.m. EST, or equivalent for where you live. And I'm not going to be here for the next two because I have things going on. But I will try to get some other folks on to host and to do the podcast and all that. But also, we are planning on doing some stuff in a little bit, also on the Twitch stream. Lily, do you want to talk about it? Because you kind of spearheaded this. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Okay, I can talk about this. So, I think I may have mentioned a few times that I am categorically a giant baby when it comes to horror media. And I figured, what better way to, in a supplement to the podcast, provide entertainment in this, the month of spooks and scares, than forcing myself to play through some of my horror game backlog. So, again, on my birthday, a very kind friend offered me the game Signalis, which I have never played. So, starting soon, we are planning on making me play through Signalis. And if that goes well, maybe some more things. So, if you would like to patronize that and see me not be the pretentious pseudo intellectual I am on the podcast, but rather the screaming, crying infant that I am while playing horror games, you should be excited for that.
I am planning on being there because I really like Signalis and I want to see Lily play it. I want to be Lily's support, her rock, in this situation here. Nikolas, you have also said that you wish to be around for some streams. I don't know if you're going to be there for all of them, right? But you're planning on kind of. And Rose, I know that you've. Yeah, and Rose, I know you've also expressed some interest, but we're gonna be a little fast and loose with it. We're just gonna, like we have days planned. We're gonna talk about it more in the future, but it's gonna be like after I come back from my vacation, so it's not gonna be in the next like week or so, or like week and a half, I guess. But yeah, we've got stuff coming up. We're gonna play
They'll
Signal.
they'll be a little bit less produced than something like this, and they might be slightly more impromptu. Like if John and I are just available on a day, we might just decide to do it and only give you a couple of hours headway. But the VODs will exist, and ideally, I will be helping cutting it up into something super cut-y for the season, and then
Yeah.
you can watch that forever on YouTube.
Mhm.
Forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I genuinely think you're gonna eat Signalis up, so
Or I'll cry.
or both.
Or both.
Probably both. But yes, if you want to support our endeavors, we're not gonna lock this behind anything, but we love our Patreon. We have patreon.com/gamesline. If you give us $3 a month, you get access to unlimited Railworks, our anime podcast, a whole week early. We're gonna be recording that soon. We gotta talk about the new season. Very exciting. And yeah, like I said, come hang out with us on our Discord server, thegamezone.zone. Good place to show. Thank you to Melt Channel /Magic Circuit for our theme song Crush off of the album Magic is Real. If you want to listen to their stuff, it's meltchannel.bandcamp.com or magic-circuit.bandcamp.com. Bandcamp Friday already passed, so you're gonna have to wait another couple weeks, but you can always buy their stuff. But again, I recommend doing it on the first Friday of every month, so they get the full cut of profits. Yeah, meltchannel.bandcamp.com right there. And then yeah, so Lily, where can people find you online?
You can find me at galalis.chirrut.bsky.social, where I will be live posting me playing through various JRPGs and writing.
Nikolas, how about you?
You can find me at sirpsycactus.bsky.social, where I post drawings I make and also 3D models I make sometimes. If you go there now, you can see a cute little fuzzy moth enemy I made for my game. It's doing a little
That's
pose.
great.
I like this little fuzzy moth. I did this in like 2 days. Well, I say 2 days. I sat down yesterday at like 5 p.m. or something, and then I told myself I'm going to make this over this weekend, and I did. It is fully animatable, which is nice. Sometimes I can do progress quickly on my game, and sometimes I can't.
That's how it goes.
You can find more cool fuzzy moths eventually.
Rose, how about yourself? Where can people find you?
Yeah, Torngal on Twitter, fatomorgana.bluesky social thing. That thing over there. Yep.
Yes. And yeah, I'm mostly on the Blue Sky as well. I'm john.gamesline.net. And that should friggin' do it. Thank you all for listening, and we will be back next week with another episode of the Gamesline Podcast. Not me, though, but someone else will. Bye!
Bye!
Bye.
Bye-bye.